night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
Okay, VSiN Live, we say hi. You know, I just thought about this as he was saying goodbye. Steve Torrey with the sign-off, be well, be safe. What is he, Walter Cronkite? I feel so small. That is such a good Torrey, if you can hear me, I freaking love it. 20 years in this game. I still don't have a sign-off. I'm just like, I guess we'll see you tomorrow as long as we're still employed. Be well, be safe. I like that, Steve. It's funny. It goes into like Pitbull. He's like, be well, be safe. Everybody in here, up in here. What are we doing? Hi, welcome to the program. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher, live from Los Angeles. Isaiah Ramirez, Ryan Smith, Las Vegas on YouTube at VSiN Live. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're having a nice week as we hit midweek. We've got 2 elimination games coming up here in just a bit. I'm just going to say this. My assumption is you're with me. Why are we not hammering the Bulls? Josh Giddey is fine. Josh Giddey is fine. The Bulls won all 3 regular season matchups against this pitiful Heat team. That was really the only question. He's not going to be on a shot clock. He's not going to be on a pitch count. He being Josh Giddey. He's been awesome for the team. Jovic is a question for the Bulls. I'm not sure. Larson's a question for the Bulls as well. But Dustin, this is a short number as we've got an elimination game starting here in just about 27 minutes with the Heat Bulls. That's 10-9. It's what, 1.5? Did it jump up to 2.5? It was 1.5 earlier today.
I'm seeing 2 right now over at DraftKings. Total's 220. I'll tell you the reason why we're not hammering it right now is because I'm scared. I am terrified because it's the most obvious play of all time. The Heat are awful. Post Jimmy Butler, they don't have a plan on offense. Bam Adebayo has become mortal since losing Jimmy Butler. And on the other side, somehow the Chicago Bulls became a fun up-and-coming team. They like to push the pace. They dictate the tempo. They like to get out and run. Giddey and Kobe White have formed a really nice backcourt for Chicago. I think it's so obvious that I'm almost hesitant to just lay 2 points because I thought it should be something like 4.5, 5.
Why are you trying to steer me away from it? Did somebody in gambling Twitter get inside your brain? Here,
yes,
listen,
yes.
we got to peel back the curtain on these gambling dorks. All right, they just go the other direction. So if it hits, they can say, "Look, we weren't square." How is it square if the Bulls come out tonight and win? I'm not blaming you, Dustin. No. But how is it square if the Bulls come out and just like in the regular season, 3-0, they beat them at home? And like you said, the much better team down the stretch has been the Chicago Bulls.
No, but you know me. You know how I operate. Yes, gambling Twitter is playing a role in this. And the role that it's playing is it's not just the people that I like and respect that I think are super sharp want to bet the Bulls. It's the people I hate also want to bet the Bulls. I can't find anyone in the market who's trying to get the points with the Miami Heat tonight, and that always terrifies me in these situations. The Chicago Bulls are the better team. The Chicago Bulls can play an in-and-out game. They got Big Vucevic, one of the most underrated offensive weapons at the 5. Doesn't play much defense, but doesn't matter. The Chicago Bulls are a fun team, and it scares me because no one wants to back the Heat. That's not a good spot to be
in. No, what is that? Dork Steve Fezzik out there spewing nonsense on Twitter again? My gosh, that ship has sailed. I mean, you got to be kidding me. The only people that gave him a spotlight 12 years ago was the 2 of us, and that ship has left the garage. You understand? Anyway, let's bring it back here. We've got a big one coming up here in just a bit. You got Mavs Kings with the Kings laying 4.5 a little bit later. We'll back up and talk about what happened last night as we got a fascinating series with the Golden State Warriors taking on the 2 seed and the Houston Rockets. And when you hear the price on the series, you're going to be gobsmacked. But we're going to tell you why the price is what it is. Let's set up the particulars. The number, 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Also, remember, from Dustin Swedelson to you, a special deal right now over at VSiN. You want to become a pro? You want to be part of the family? Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Get everything we offer. Access through AUG1 for $19. You have to use the promo code SERIOUS. So go to VSiN.com/subscribe. This is for you. VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code SERIOUS. You will thank the big guy later. Couple of things we've got to get into. We're going to do a ton on the NFL draft. Okay, Eric Lindquist is going to join. Halterman's going to join. Noopadoop's going to join. But we're going to do a lot on the draft when it comes to the quarterbacks. We had an interesting discussion earlier today about Tyler Shuck. You ever heard of him? 9 out of 10 of you haven't. And one NFL coach said that he would take Tyler Shuck over Cam Ward, number 1 overall. I just want to let you know Tyler Shuck is 26 years old. So what we did, and again, he stinks. So I always tell you, if you think those people in power positions in the NFL, I've worked with them, people, if you think they have any clue, go play fantasy football and you are qualified. All right, because now we got coaches talking about taking Shuck over Ward. Whatever you think of Ward, and the big guy freaking hates him. He's still not going to take Tyler Shuck over him. So we had a discussion about some of the oldsters that have been drafted in the NFL, and some of the names will surprise you. Well, I might say shock you. We have to find an NFL team, an NHL team. Look, this show is about puck. We like the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're not pretending to like the Stanley Cup playoffs. We get down, we get dirty. The games are on while we're doing the program. And what we like to do is we like to go Eastern Conference, get a team that we can tail, Western Conference, get a team that we can tail, and then we ride in the group chat, in the Discord, at the family bets, and it gets buzzing, all right? Because the NBA has a spotlight right now. After Rory, the NBA has a spotlight. It needs a good postseason. The PR has been horrible. And guess it's self-inflicted. The negative PR for the association has been horrific, however, self-inflicted. The NHL just keeps chugging along like some good old Canadians with a mullet and just out there crushing each other. So that's what's going to happen, NHL. We're going to get our teams situated coming up here in just a bit. But we should start, Dustin. You and I were on the air last night, and Golden State did beat Memphis, did not cover the number. They did beat Memphis, though, so they advance. They're the 7th seed. That means they take on the 2 seed, and that would be Houston. And in real time, we said, Golden State's going to be favored in that series. And at the time, you and I were both just like, oh, that's a given. But it's not such a given. How often has it happened where a 2 seed has been a dog to a 7 seed? Dustin did the research. 2021, the 7 Lakers against the 2 Suns. That's the only other time this has happened. And the Suns won that series. The Golden State Warriors, I want you to listen to this. The Golden State Warriors are a minus 200 favorite over the Houston Rockets. That means you have to bet 200 to win $100 on the Warriors to win the series. The 7 seed is doubled up on the pricing, Dustin Swedelson.
On top of that, 7 seeds are 2-42 all time in best of 7 series. That goes back to 2003. They're 6-76 since the 83-84 season, and that is the identical record that 8 seeds have at knocking off 1 seeds in the NBA playoffs. To let you know how historical it is, but I think the real discussion is the Golden State Warriors might be the 7 seed according to the standings. They are not really a 7 seed.
No, I would agree with you in the Butler trade, as you and I discussed this morning. But I think there is also something important to note for new bettors and to understand what this market means. We were discussing it earlier. Understand this minus $2 favorite on the Golden State Warriors over the Houston Rockets has nothing to do with defense, has nothing to do with rebounding, has nothing to do with offensive or defensive efficiency. It literally has nothing to do with basketball. It has everything to do with market interpretation and brand investment. What does that mean? People want to bet on Steph Curry, just like me. I want to bet on Steph Curry too, because I think he's single-handedly, along with, the unhinged Butler and Draymond Green, I think they do beat the Rockets. The market tells you that as well. However, this isn't like the sports books were crunching numbers to come up with it. They just know everybody's going to run to the window to bet on Steph and the Golden State Warriors because this is a very young, unproven Houston team against a team that was dynastic for a time with its best player and a top 12 player of all time and Steph. That is factual.
Yeah, the sports books have to make it a little bit more difficult for you to just willingly walk up and bet on this team, so they're not just taking one-way action on the series, but it's a tax, is what you're saying. The
Yep.
Warriors are a tax. Because of their track record, because of the resumes, because they have a winning pedigree, you're paying a tax to back Golden State. Just like you pay a tax to back Notre Dame and Alabama football. Just like Duke basketball in the NCAA tournament we just got done with. Just like the Dodgers and Yankees. This is just how it goes when it comes to betting on sports. There is a tax to be paid for the teams that everyone knows the most about.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly. The Golden State tax and then the Steph tax. And that's what drives the number. And Dustin also laid it out. They need to find some balance. So the sports books aren't like, maybe they do believe Houston's a better basketball team. That has nothing to do with setting a number. So, and by the way, Houston has proven throughout the regular season, obviously, that they're a much better basketball team. But I will be betting Golden State. So I'm a donkey to donk. By the way, I'm watching it right now. Nico Harrison gave a quote today about the trade, and he started with, "There's no regrets about the trade of Luka Doncic."
God. He just can't stop. He can't.
But it's gotten to a point where if you say that, you're admitting I'm a stupid person.
I don't know how he can even speak to the media. I don't know how he can look them in the eyes.
No, you're saying I shouldn't drive a car. How do I have a license? How does my wife allow me to balance the check? Like what? How do I put one foot in front of the other? This is so beyond comprehension to justify it at this point. Like, well, I mean, no regrets after trading Luka for Anthony Davis. Zach LaVine has been better for the Kings than Davis has been for the Dallas Mavericks.
No, the more he speaks about it, the more you realize he played no role in this, and he's just being a good company guy. He's taking the bullet for the organization. It can't be his call. The fact that he keeps defending it the way he has just keeps showing me he had nothing to do with the conversation and the deal going down. He did not want to trade Luka because here's the reality. His job is on the line with every move he makes. And in order to keep his job with the Mavericks, he has to do what the owners say. The unfortunate part is no one else in the league will ever hire him again because he traded Luka Doncic. So he has to stay loyal to the Dallas Mavericks and tote the company line over and over again.
I'm going to repeat an adage that I don't even know if it makes any sense, but cut nose, spite face. Like, you cut your nose to spite your face. You all know what I'm inferring, which is what Dustin just said. If you keep defending the trade, maybe you stay employed for a little bit in Dallas, but when you inevitably get fired, nobody's going to hire you because you're the idiot that kept on doubling down on trading one of the great players of all time at 25 years old. And repeating, quote, defense wins championships like you're Vince Lombardi in 61.
And then now you're going to trot out a team in 2025 with like 4 big men tonight in a play-in game. You're now the 10 seed. I mean, that
you're a
tells you
dog.
everything you need to know.
You're a dog against Sacramento who's coached by Doug effing Christie. And you think you made the right trade?
Who I think was their radio analyst like 2 years ago.
He was doing spots on the Rap a few years ago. And it wasn't even a good spot.
It was okay.
It was fine.
It was fine. But at no point in the conversation did you think, that guy might be an NBA coach one day. And he might be coaching a playoff team. Because that's what's going to happen tonight, because they are going to smoke the Dallas Mavericks, who, by the way, have no offense because they traded their only offensive weapon to the Lakers midway through the year.
Yeah. The Sacramento team traded away their best player, and they just kind of, mishmashed a roster together with Zach LaVine and a few others, and they're a 4.5-point favorite over the Dallas Mavericks, who traded away Luka and brought in Anthony Davis. And, oh, by the way, he's playing tonight, yet they're still big dogs to a team that isn't even trying. Like, they're trying to figure out who they are in the Sacramento Kings.
Also, I do remember Nico Harrison saying, the window's shortened, right? The window's shortened, but we think we can go for it because we're a better defensive team. The window is certainly short when you're a 10 seed. I can tell you that. The window is going to be a little bit tighter because the odds of you getting out of this round and making a run means that you only have a few more years with an older Anthony Davis to capitalize on this so-called window that you believed you were setting up.
Yeah, I would say, Nico, winter's coming, so close the window because next year's going to be ugly.
It's gonna be gross. Also, why would anyone want to go play there? Why, if you were a free agent, why would you want to play for the Dallas Mavericks, who actually got worse after going to an NBA Finals?
My dream would be if you just look at this point, interviewing people, it's hit or miss. Look at yesterday's program. But
I have something on this too, by the way.
But my dream would be I wake up and the big guy says, "I got us Nico Harrison."
Oh God.
And I would just love to be like, "Nico, what's cracking?" And then just have the conversation. But I'm guessing he's not available.
Well, how he met with the media yesterday, that's where that quote came from. I don't believe anyone was allowed to record or film the press conference. I believe it was a private meeting with the media. That's how scared he is.
Wait, he had a private. I've never even heard of anything like that.
Yes. Let me confirm. I believe that is what I read when I was reading the quotes. Also, speaking of interviews that go poorly or go great, I'm just going to point this out today because Dog had Robert Parish on today, and it was one of the all-time interviews I've ever heard Dog do. He sounded like he was 14 years old in the prime of his loving sports, talking to Robert Parish about everything in the old Celtics. I suggest everyone goes back and listens to it.
I'd love to listen to that.
It was one of the most captivating interviews I've ever heard, and I do not care about Robert Parish.
Well, I know for a fact. Well, first off, Parish, a part of, arguably that 86, 87 in that realm, greatest team of all time, obviously with McHale, with Ainge, with Bird. That is beyond. So I can understand Dog's enthusiasm. I know for a fact, without even listening, Bill Laimbeer was brought up.
Yeah, it was. It was handled properly. It was a surprising answer that I heard out of Parish about him. I'm not going to give it away. I think people should listen to it. But my point was with interviews, the passion, like it got me thinking about you, which you hate this question because I've asked it since I met you in 2016.
Oh, yeah, my dream interview.
Who's your dream interview? Because Dog legitimately sounded like it was a dream to talk to Robert Parish today. It was off of, by the way, the Simmons HBO documentary, the multi-part thing going on right now about the Celtics. And apparently Parish is great in that, so Dog wanted to talk to him. And I started thinking about you, getting you someone that you've always wanted to interview. You don't have anyone in sports that you still feel like 12-year-old Patrick wants to talk to, pick their brain, outside of Barry Sanders, who we both know won't give you anything.
Oh, because if we got Barry Sanders, he'd be a freaking dud anyway. I know who he is. It'd be like my man that makes the PBS documentaries. Can't think of his name right now.
Ken Burns?
Ken Burns. If you want to give me Ken Burns, you'll see somebody get excited. But I'm like, at this point, Parish is a good get because he is quite cerebral, and there's such a connection to a wonderful, probably the best era of basketball in the NBA's. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to current day, but it's much different.
Oh yeah.
If we brought Barry Sanders, he literally he's a nice guy, not a good interview. Unless, I don't know, maybe I could crack him. I have no clue. Maybe you could get somewhere in there, but there's just not, I don't know if there's a ton going on. You just get disappointed so often. That's why oftentimes, and Dog's, such a great interviewer, but oftentimes it's the interviews you aren't expecting to care about and players that didn't really matter to you that you walk away and say, oh my gosh, I got something out of that.
That was part of it for me. Just not like I remember watching Robert Parish at the end of his career, but it was more Dog, the enthusiasm. What's he, 60 something years old? And I heard the child. I heard the child that fell in love with sports in the interview, and it came out and I was like, I don't even know who that would be for me. I don't know who that could get me that excited again. And I'm only 40. And I really loved the interview. It was a 10 out of 10. And by the way, Isaiah's texted me. I'm correct. By the way, tough day to be someone named Nico. Nico Iamaleava, Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison did have a private meeting with the media. It was not filmed. It was not recorded.
Yeah, that is cowardly. Cowardly. Is it possible at some point to get the answer that Parish gave about Laimbeer cut up? I'd love to hear the question. I'd love to hear the answer. So go ahead.
Yeah, we could see if they cut it up. Or I'll tell you. I can tell you what he said.
Well, before you tell me what Robert Parish said about Bill Laimbeer, let me be very clear. To this day, everybody hates Bill Laimbeer. And Larry Bird hates him. Kevin McHale hates him. Robert Parish hates him. Danny Ainge hates him. Like, I think that they would admit a bad word, in my vernacular, hate of Bill Laimbeer. And that's why I love Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah. So Parish said, obviously, the same thing, hated him. And to the point where
he did say
as adults going to events, they would be at the same event and they would not speak to each other. However, they have since buried the hatchet and they will now speak to each other when they see each other. But for a while, they did not. That's how big the animosity was.
Yeah, it was. He lives in a lot of people's heads, that being Bill Laimbeer. And Bill Laimbeer, something that, and I know I always repeat myself on this. You guys know the stretches, the bigs that stretch. Go look it up. Bill Laimbeer was the original big that just shot threes a lot and well. So that was my era, and I couldn't stand the Boston Celtics. There's a steal by Bird underneath the DJ, lays it up. That was your boys. That was not good for the ticker. And I was like a kid. I was like 8 years old.
Not good for the Pistons. What are you talking about? That's just not just your heart. It was bad for the Pistons. Heartbreak over and over again.
It was, but then it made it sweeter with the back-to-backs in 89, 90. What up, Big Daddy Rich, Chuck Daly? Oh, that was a little walk down memory lane. I like that. Robert Parish with Dog today. What was the reason for having him?
Bill Simmons is doing this. I haven't watched it yet. This Celtics documentary. It's like 7 or 8 parts. Simmons was on yesterday, by the way, on with Chris, and he was very good too. And they talked about it, and I guess Parish has popped, and Chris was surprised because he didn't really know, he didn't think Parish was
I get it.
into doing media. And Parish actually said, Chris, my demeanor is I'm not a people person, so that's why. And everything you thought about me through the Boston media was the truth because that's how I was. I just wasn't willing to open up. And the only person he said he really ever opened up to is Jackie McMullen, the great reporter.
Yeah, she's
who covered
great.
the Celtics and ESPN for a long time. And he said, but that's why you feel the way you do about me, because you didn't I really did not trust the media and I wasn't a people person. That was
I got to hear that. Honestly, I'm going to go after, you can listen to it on the app, the SiriusXM app. I'm going to have to go rewind or download the podcast from Mad Dog Unleashed earlier today and listen to that. I'll be into that. I'll be really into that. Parish, he was, if you aren't old enough to remember Robert Parish, he had a very brooding approach to playing the game. So the expectations where he wasn't much of a quote off the court, but I think he just purposely, as you just mentioned, he purposely did it. And it sounds like today he was quite loquacious and had plenty to say with Dog.
Yeah, it was 10 out of 10. I mean, it was also, but the key for me was Dog. I want to find something I care that much about that many years later, where he's still getting amped up to talk about something that happened, 30 years ago, 40 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 47. Dog's probably 66-ish. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have. I'm guessing it takes a lot to get his juices flowing. That's why you remember when he got into Laurel Canyon and all that kind of stuff. Like, sometimes people love that stuff. Sometimes when he has authors on, sometimes people hate that stuff. But I do know this, understand from his perspective why he does it. That's what gives him juice to keep going.
Yes.
Been there.
That makes sense.
That's what gives him, all right, now I'm excited to talk about sports again because I got to fill up my cup. That's what, and also you should be very excited if you like Dog that you're listening to a person that's just not one-brained, like a JT or whatever, like a donk, not somebody that's just like screaming at you and barking and being some facsimile of a sports talk radio host. At least he has like an eclectic, concept outside of sports, and that's what you get with him.
Yeah,
well,
10 out of 10.
Let's do this. I'm glad you told me about that. Tony heard it today. Our buddy Tony in Dallas here, VSiN Live. Hi, Tony.
You absolutely nailed it. That's what keeps Doggy going. Because let me tell you, that interview today, and actually you should listen to Bill Simmons yesterday, because it's those kind of interviews where you learn something. And Bill Simmons talked about the documentary and talked about Rick Pitino in Boston and how he was not liked, and he gave you a lot of background on that. And Bill Simmons was excited to talk to Doggy. Doggy was trying to get him off, and Bill Simmons said, hey, I can stay on. I can keep talking to you. And then Robert Parish today, I mean, you're right. I've got you beat by 4 years. And Robert Parish, to me, was not an exciting player. But then when I see the documentary and I listen to him today, it's like all of a sudden I'm a big fan of Robert Parish, and it's like, and you brought up Bill Laimbeer, and a lot of people don't know Bill Laimbeer was one of the first WNBA coaches, and it's like Bill Laimbeer gave a lot to the game after he got out of that role of being the most hated white guy in basketball, so it's like, I got to tell you, you need to listen to the interviews. As much as Doggy kills the NBA all year round, he was like a little kid today talking to Robert Parish, and it was really a treat. Eddie, whoever got him, whether it was Eddie or what, that was a great get by Doggy in that interview today.
Great job, Tony. I'll listen to Simmons. I'll listen to Parish. What happens is there will be behind the scenes, there will be an impetus. So, for example, Simmons will say, I want this project to be promoted on Chris Russo's show. And then our PR people start getting with the subjects from the documentary. Ergo, you get Robert Parish after you get Simmons. That's kind of how it works. So I love it. The fact that he's into it, you could tell if the host is into an interview, you're going to get more out of it. 100%. That's great.
Yeah. And
looking forward to hearing it.
It also worked because now I want to check out the Celtics documentary. So well done.
And Tony was right. Tony was right about Parish. See, Parish, Mikhail was fundamentally he's right up there as far as a fundamentally sound basketball player, Kevin McHale, that you're ever going to see. And Parish was a great player, but not flashy. Put it that way. Not flashy. All right. 8-8, Matt. Good job by the big guy saying I had no clue. I had no clue that Dog had talked to Parish, and I will be interested to go see the Simmons. See, Simmons grew up obsessed with Mike and the Mad Dog. So I'm guessing he talked about that on his conversation, but he grew up listening to Chris. So obviously he's become a Titan, Simmons, in the industry, and I'm sure he has an affinity still for Dog, who keeps plugging away.
Yeah, Dog did his thing where he's like, "Oh, really appreciate you doing this," but like overly thanking him. And Bill Simmons was kind of like, "Yeah, Chris, you're a legend. Of course, I'm gonna come talk to you."
Yeah, you're you, dude.
Yeah, like look in the mirror sometime.
Yeah, it's like that's a good point. It would be at this point in Simmons' career, it would be. I'm sure there's a small number of people where he would be honored to be invited to talk to them.
Yes.
He invites people to talk to him.
And wasn't Simmons one of the people that Francesa was potentially going to replace Dog with at some point?
Simmons was asked to potentially replace Dog. But it just, he's a Boston guy.
Yeah, it's
he's made $100 billion off his Spotify deal with the Ringer. There's going to be no reason for Simmons to do that. Hey, let's bet this game really quickly. We'll take a break, Come back and get to the calls. So I'm sorry. I'll be square. I like the Bulls. Giddy's good. I'm good.
Hey.
3-0 against the Heat in the regular season. Let's go.
Look, 10-5 straight up in games with lines of +3 to -3 for Chicago. They won 15 of the last 20 straight up. Since the All-Star break, 17-10, net rating of 4.8. That is better than Miami, 12-17 since then, +3. Chicago's the better team. They're playing better. Their ATS numbers with high-scoring games are crazy. I like Chicago. I'll join you in that. I'm also, though, going to go Tyler Hero. Over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. Chicago is so bad at defending point guards. They're the worst when it comes to assists. They're second worst with points. I think they're 8th when it comes to rebounds. I think Tyler Hero is going to go off for Miami. He's the go-to guy. He has a big game, but I do believe the Bulls win and cover that number.
Yeah, without a doubt, Miami's the better defensive team, so I'm not going to argue you there. But you mentioned it. They won 15 of 20 down the stretch. They've been playing very good ball. I'll take that team over, and I'll take the home team tonight with a little juice in the Bulls. All right, fun start to the program. We'll come back with your calls. Some calls on the Parish interview. Hey, feel free to hit us up. I'd like to hear more about it. That's a legend. That's two legends talking about the game of basketball. That Dog and Parish. That's wonderful. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Wednesday, we've got the play-ins. We've got the NFL draft. We've got the NHL. We've got plenty to do. We'll get you your calls next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
We are going to be on the Bulls. Now, I feel like I strong-armed you into this Bulls play because you were coming at me quite contrarian.
Well, no, it's the problem I have is that I do want to bet the Bulls, but I have an issue when everyone I see is on one side. I get really nervous about the play. I like to see about 50-50, and then I jump in on one side. Instead, with this one, everyone loves the Bulls. My third-grade teacher who died 10 years ago called me and said, bet the Bulls today. That's where we're at with the Chicago Bulls playing 2 points.
The only reason I said oof is you used that one like a month ago.
Yeah, that's Mrs. Dennison, though.
I know you brought her up. Hey, the one thing I would say is I understand your point about everybody in like the mentions and stuff being on the Bulls, but the fact that it only got up to 2
I know.
means something.
Yeah.
If
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
was betting the Bulls, this would be a 3.5, 4-point game.
Yeah. Yep. Miami, though, they don't do a lot of little things well either. It's not just about the Bulls being better. Miami turns the ball over a ton. They don't grab a lot of rebounds. I don't, it doesn't compute to me that Miami should hang in or win this game, which is why it's so obvious to bet the Bulls, which has me scared to bet the Bulls.
No, trust me. I love it so much that obviously I hate it now. But let's be fair. The Miami Heat's best player is Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo is not a star anymore.
No, isn't that funny? Jimmy Butler disappears, and all of a sudden, Bam takes a massive step back. Also, they're playing that Ware kid at the 5 now. Bam moves to the 4. It's a weird front court situation, and Chicago's more guard play on the wings with Gideon White. Gideon White have become like one of my favorite combos in the NBA. They are fun to watch.
I would agree. You know, the Giddey trade was awesome for both teams because Caruso's awesome. Caruso's a great defender and can give you a big bucket, but Chicago needed a young player that they could grow, and Giddey is teetering on potentially becoming a star.
Yeah, he needed a change of scenery, obviously, with everything that went on off the court, but also he was having issues on the floor fitting in there with the Thunder. I think it was good for both parties, and the Caruso piece is massive because he is at least a vet. He's been through it, and it's a super young roster for the Thunder. And he's also a player where his impact on the game doesn't show up in the box score. You're not going to see Alex Caruso go off, but he makes a massive impact when he's on the floor. He's a good leader for that group. So yeah, I agree with you. Good trade for both sides.
Yeah, he's a great defender, Caruso. By the way, I have to give credit because I'm hard on Jimmy Butler. He was awesome last night in the 121-116 win. He had 38 points, 7 boards, and 6 assists and 3 steals. That is, if they get that type of Butler production, and Ja was terrible. Terrible's a stretch.
Oh, I'm over him though. Everyone's
Desmond Bane is better than Ja Morant.
I agree.
Right? I mean, like Ja with the grenade throwing because he can't do a machine gun celebration anymore. Grow up, kid. Like, grow up. You're not as good as you think you are. And, last night, 22 points in a must-win. Nah, it's not going to get it done.
No, and speaking of your boy Jimmy, he had this to say after the game about where he fits in playing alongside a legend in Steph Curry.
I think any team has a chance when I'm on a team, but I know that every team has a chance if Steph's on the team. So I get to play Robin. That's my Batman, and I don't know who else is. We got all the villains over there, Two-Face and Joker and Riddler, everybody else in the Western Conference. But we got a lot of games to win.
I mean, it's a good quote from Jimmy. You look, you're going to acquiesce to a top 10 player of all time. So, like, you would hope so. But Butler, look, his numbers weren't crazy good since the trade in Golden State, but he just has an impact when he's on the floor. He can space out a little bit more. He can create his own shot. You can chill with the doubles of Steph every time he's got the ball. Steph doesn't have to be the primary ball handler. Like, there's a lot that Butler does as much as I kill him.
But I do have some concerns with the age and the wear on those guys, Butler and Curry specifically. Houston's a young team, right? They're rested. They're ready for Golden State. Can we expect that performance from the Warriors every night? Because it took that to just barely beat a Memphis team that was underachieving this year. A team that dropped from the 4 seed to the 10 seed late in the season. A team that had higher aspirations and didn't reach it. So I have some questions about that. And I do think you're going to need to see at least that version of Jimmy because Steph's going to have his hands full. And I know Steph is a legend. I know Steph's going to get buckets against anyone, but he's going to have Amen Thompson on him. And that dude is in contention for Defensive Player of the Year, and he's a young buck, and he's ready to run around all day. Because of that, I think it could be a massive series for Jimmy Butler against the Rockets where they have to lean on him a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, I think you're right. The $2, like, again, if you're just joining us, Golden State, the 7 seed is, and again, they don't have home court, is a minus 200 favorite over the Houston Rockets. That's insane. Like, Houston, I don't know. What's it coming back the other way?
Coming back the other way, let me pull that up real quick. Series markets, Golden State and the Rockets plus 165 right now in Houston.
I don't know if that's a terrible. I mean, look, like you said, last night they exerted a lot to beat a team. You know, they didn't cover.
Yeah, look, I can't lose on this series. I've got 50-1 on the Rockets to win the West, and I've got 30-1 on the Warriors to win the whole thing. So either way, I'll have a ticket advancing to the next round. I would prefer it be the Warriors because I think we as like people who want to care about the NBA but struggle during the regular season, we want to see Steph give it one more chance at another ring.
Oh, I agree with you. No. The Steph element, Dustin, is like he. You know what he is? It's a treat to be able to watch him play basketball.
Yes.
At 36 years old, it's a freaking treat. You mentioned Parish on with Dog today. You can find that interview on the SiriusXM app, which I'm excited to listen to after the program. Our friend Jeff in Chicago heard it. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Nothing much. I just wanted to chime in. First of all, from Chicago on the Bulls. Let's go.
Let's go
tonight. Second of all, talking about Parish in the interview, like it brought me back. I haven't seen it or heard it. I definitely am going to listen to it. But like when you look back, like that team was amazing. And then you look at the Pistons who overtook them. Awesome team. Bulls, 30 for 30, last dance. Patrick and Dustin, what do you think is the team that dealt with the most drama, whether it's on the court, off the court? Like those teams had so much going on during that time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, not only did first off, just to give you a quick primer on that era, the Showtime Lakers and the all-time great Boston Celtics with Parish, Jackie McMullen's talked about it. Many have talked about it. They're the reason the NBA became as popular as it has, and then the mantle was taken from Jordan, and he extended it. But those rivalries between the Showtime Lakers and the Boston Celtics, that was what made basketball popular. It was a fledgling, it's a sport, and then it became a must type. It became part of the Big Four and the vernacular that we discussed today. But understand what happened. The battles between the Showtime Lakers and the Boston Celtics with the upstart Bad Boy Pistons, right? The Bad Boy Pistons had to try, futile, had to try to get past Boston, had to try to eventually get past the Lakers, and then they did. And then there was the upstart Jordan Bulls who had to do the exact same thing with the Bad Boy Pistons, who beat the crap out of everybody, including coming up with the Jordan rules. So you understand what you had there. You had a decade of Magic, Lakers, Larry, Celtics, Isaiah, Pistons, Jordan, Bulls. I'm sorry, you can't top it.
Baseball now is what the NBA used to be in popularity, and they flip-flopped.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that I get there. I don't know if you watched, I know you didn't watch. I don't know why I'm wording it that way. You don't watch TV, but the Showtime Lakers show on HBO was pretty good. I don't know if it's all true based off the Jeff Pearlman book, but I think they took some liberties. But the drama that went on with the Showtime Lakers, I did not know about the coach getting into a bike accident, and that's how Westfall takes over as the head coach, or Westfall, whatever his name is. Either way, he's the head coach of the team. The stuff with Magic where they're trying to lure him and get him into the NBA and take him number 1 overall, the drama with that. Him versus Kareem trying to take the leadership role from him. There was a lot more drama with the Showtime Lakers than I ever knew about.
Oh, no, there was. And by the way, you just want a little slice of drama with the Pistons? When the Pistons were going through their absolute peak, their height, the cops were called to the Palace of Auburn Hills parking lot because Dennis Rodman was in his car with a shotgun about to commit suicide. So the Pistons were dealing with some S. You Google it.
I did not remember that story.
That's an all-timer. My man was chilling in his truck in the parking lot of the Palace of Auburn Hills with a shotgun, wanting to kill himself. The Pistons were going through it as well.
Yeah.
Underway with Miami and Chicago. Just quickly, 10-5, a nice start for the Miami Heat, 9:48 to play. So we're just getting started there, and we're just getting started on the program. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, beginning Thursday at noon Eastern. Tune into SiriusXM Fight Nation, channel 156 for live coverage of WrestleMania 41 from Las Vegas. 5 days, 3 locations, 41 hours of WrestleMania talk. Don't miss a minute of Busted Opens, WrestleMania 41 coverage, only on Fight Nation, channel 156, or the SiriusXM app. Busted Open, that's my guy LaGreca, right? I like that guy.
Yes, sir.
He's a good dude. Let's say hi to here at VSiN Live, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. Let's say hi to David in Maryland. Hey, David.
Hey, Patrick. Hey, Dustin.
What's up, buddy?
I put what I want to talk about in too quick, but I listened to the entire Parish interview and to the entire Simmons interview yesterday. Yeah. They were both incredible. It's so funny. Simmons kind of wanted Doggy to give him the Lombardi Friday spot.
Oh,
on
is
NFL.
that what he was? He was angling to get the spot, huh?
Yeah, but Doggy said he's going to call him. He didn't want to put him on the spot on the air. So it was pretty funny. I also told Doggy that, Stern wrote a book about his favorite interviews. Doggy should write a book about his famous interviews and talk about them. I think it would be an incredible
That's a good idea.
book.
Yeah, I think so,
Yes.
too. It's a great idea.
Patrick, now
Yes,
to what I said I wanted to talk about. Get Sanders on the air and crack him, buddy. You
You're
can
right.
do it.
You're right, David.
You can do it.
I'll crack him like you sent us pistachios back in the day.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
What's up, dog?
I'm in a different business now. I sell the greatest potato chip ever in the world.
Give me a name. Give me
Ever.
a name.
My Dad's Chips. Dustin, me and you are friends on Facebook. We've direct messaged each other. Just give me the ad. Do you all live close? I mean, are you together to do the show?
Yeah, we can. If you send them over, David, you just hit up the big guy on social. My Dad's Chips. That's a little free pub.
I'm looking at the flavors. Little salt and balsamic vinegar.
You know what? I think I have heard of those chips.
It's a cool looking bag. French onion chips. I'm down.
I don't think that's a terrible idea that David had. Where if Dog were ever to write a book, just talk about his interviews and what he liked about them.
Oh, I thought you meant people sending us free stuff. I don't think that's a terrible idea either.
Oh no, you can send us all the free stuff you want.
Yeah.
He sent us pistachios back in the day.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, they were good.
Listener once sent you a bike and sent us Apple Watches too another time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. Here's Mike in the OC. Mike, hi.
I gave you peanuts once.
You did. You gave us, yep. You did give us peanuts in the shells. We appreciate that.
Did. That was a beautiful talent's idea. That worked out very well.
Yeah, I loved it.
Guys, that is.
No. I swear to God, I didn't do that. No,
Oh,
I would.
I'm looking at
I
your
would
hands
take. I
weren't
would
there.
take credit for it. I did not.
Your hands were not there. That's fair. Okay, I was hoping you hung up on him right when he was about to say what he wanted to
He's
say.
so spastic. He probably hung up on himself. But I would like. I know people. I know what people are thinking, and I saw your face. I did not do that.
I thought you did. I definitely thought you did. No. It's too early in the show for that. He couldn't have derailed things too much.
Mike, you can call back, and I'll get you right up. I had no hand, literally and figuratively, in the dial tone.
In fairness, he's happy to wait on hold again, so it doesn't matter.
Well, he's got a couple of minutes. He can call us back. Here's our buddy, Bill and Chevy Chase. Hey, Bill.
Hey guys. I heard you were talking about the interviews today, the one today and the Simmons one, and today I think was the best interview he's ever done. I really do. Mad Dog with Parish. I do.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
It was that good.
Why?
It
Tell
was.
me why.
It was the combination of the kind of the significance of Parish as a sports figure. You know, he played a very big role in one of the great dynasties that I hate, by the way. I am no fan of his. And the fact that Parish does not speak much, he doesn't, give much of himself. Mad Dog got all kinds of stuff out of him. And I will say this too, just about myself. With Mad Dog, I'm a pretty big fan. I don't know there are too many people who spend more time on hold waiting to talk to him these days than I do. And a lot of these interviews, a lot of the guys, we text each other. They say how great this one was or that one. And I don't say anything, but I think to myself, that wasn't so good. Oh, it was okay. This was extraordinary. It was. That's why I think this is the best interview he's ever done.
Well, let me ask you. Let me follow up. Hold on. What do you think makes a good or a not so good Chris interview?
It just, again, it was the totality of the circumstances. It's a little bit like the old Supreme Court definition of obscenity. Maybe I can't define it, but I know it when I see it, and I saw it or heard it today. And what he did really well today, and he always does it, but it worked especially well with Parish, is his very open-ended approach. He never dominates an interview. It's always, here's the subject, tell me about this. And sometimes I don't think it's a terribly good way to conduct an interview. Today, it was the perfect way to conduct the interview.
Good job, Bill. I have to go just because we're getting to the top of the hour. Here's what I would say. I always tell people this. Dog doesn't even know. It's just savant. It's innate. It's like he can't turn on a computer, but his ability to communicate is just inside. And so his interviews are the same. Halterman's next.
Covering spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Well, I told you about the deal. It's $19 through August 1st. Become a VSiN Pro. Get everything we offer, the picks, the Kentucky Derby betting guide, the NFL betting guide, vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS. And while you're there, just enter your email address for the daily newsletter. That comes to your inbox before you wake up. You wake up, it's there. What's on tap for the betting day? Some free plays in there as well. It's ridiculous not to sign up for it is what I would say. So go to vsin.com/newsletter, enter your email address. It's absolutely free. All right. We welcome you back. The big guy, Dustin Swedelson. Shalom. The big guy is in a relationship. If you haven't heard, if you haven't heard, just give him about 37 seconds. He'll let you know. He is in town. He gets better. He gets better with your boy, but he shouldn't. He's in town celebrating I think it's Passover. I'm not, you got to help me.
I mean, I celebrated it over the weekend. It's still going on. People don't really do much for it. To give you an idea of how boring this holiday is, we did not eat dinner until 10:30 at night on Saturday night.
Whoa.
That's what we were dealing with. So bored that when I looked over during the service that we were doing at a relative's house of my girlfriend's father had his phone opened, and he was so bored, he was scrolling the weather app, checking the weather in other cities around the world.
So if my man's not dialed in and you're bored off your ass and probably everybody else has the same vibes, I'm not trying to be sacrilegious, but may I ask one simple question. Why?
I'm not really religious either, but I would tell you, I think there's a level of suffering you're supposed to do, right? There's a little sacrifice being made on this Passover. We do not eat bread. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it. It's biblical, but we do not eat leavened bread. We eat matzah. It's crackers. It's disgusting.
Okay.
But I just thought it told the story of just how boring this holiday is, that he's literally going St. Louis, Missouri, 63 degrees.
Well, that's where the Blues play. That's a good
43.
segue. That's a good segue into our next guest. Our next guest is, well, we can officially say he is a VSiN host.
Yes.
He is a proprietor of racingdudes.com with Jared Welch. He's also a Mad Dog Sports Radio host. If you haven't heard the news, of course, that's Aaron Halterman, part of the family. If you haven't heard the news, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman, they host VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, every Friday, 2:15 East, 11:15 West. On Kentucky Derby Saturday, they are going to simulcast a 3-hour broadcast, 4 to 7 East, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, and this here network, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Now, that is a glow up. Dustin's going to be over here eating matzah, and my boys are going to be out there. They're just going to be national with the ponies. Aaron Halterman, welcome.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. That's how you could describe what you just said there. I got to do all kinds of things, right? No, listen, I always learn something when I come on this show, and I've learned a lot already. So very thankful for that, and thanks for the shout out there. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, this Derby's shaping up to be a good one, and we're going to cover it. There's a lot of places we're going to be on the next couple of weeks.
I love that phrase, by the way, jack of all trades, master of none, because before I met my girlfriend, I was a master of jacking.
Oh, you're laughing? You have to at least admit you're laughing because you feel bad for him. Because I think the big guy is funny, legitimately a funny person. That was not funny. Well, you know what is funny, big guy? We're getting killed. Miami's just absolutely boat racing Chicago, 31-18. I couldn't have been more confident. I am an idiot. It's still the first quarter.
No, but hold on. What can we get? We could get plus 220 right now on the Bulls, plus 6.5 now. We were willing to lay 2, plus 6.5. Everyone who talks about basketball, they say this quote at some point, it's a game of runs. We're just waiting for a run for Chicago. And what does Chicago do? They like to run. They like to get in transition. They're a better offense. They're a more efficient offense. If they can start playing downhill, they can get back into it. And as I say that, it's now plus 7.5.
Well, first off, before we get to the basketball and then the hockey with Aaron Halterman, we'll talk some horses as well. Are you and the lovely Heather celebrating Passover this year?
No, we are not. I don't know what that is. So I didn't know until just now what that was. So no.
I've been learning a lot about religion through the big guy. He's a very religious person all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I could tell.
I do what my girlfriend says because she lets me see her naked sometimes. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we've all been there. I listen. It's different than betting the regular season, and essentially the play-ins are the postseason as they attempt to get into the real dance. Are you getting involved thus far last night and tonight in the NBA?
I am. This is a crazy statement to make. I'm looking at 5.5 in the Mavericks tonight, plus 5.5 at the Mavericks. I just kind of feel like that game's going to be a little bit closer than that spread. So that is kind of the one I'm looking at. I did not get involved last night. I did like the Warriors a bit, but I didn't go ahead and play that. But I do think I'm going to play the Mavericks tonight at 5.5, plus 5.5. And I just don't trust the Kings. So I don't know. I just think that's going to be a tight game. So that's the one. This one going on right now, I didn't touch it. I didn't trust either one of those teams.
Playoffs beginning. You're an Oklahoma City fan. Your level of confidence heading into the postseason, Mr. Halterman.
It's just not that high. I hate to be that way. I hate to be negative, but I just remember last year, second round, just the Mavs kind of just bouncing us. I mean, yeah, some games were close. Maybe we had a chance, I'm not going to say win the series, but maybe get it to a seventh game. And we just didn't look great throughout that whole series. And I just look at the team that we have this year, and it's like, it's pretty similar. And then who's out there? You got the Lakers hanging around. They're going to be a tough out, as we know. Luka, we've got a Luka problem. So I think that's going to be an issue. And the West is very tough as it is. Forget about just the Lakers. There's all kinds of teams. Like a team like the Warriors, who are going to be the 7th seed. They're awfully good, right? So, I mean, I don't have a ton of confidence. I will say this. I have confidence in Oklahoma City being able to score. I do think that's going to happen, but can they defend, and can they defend inside when it matters late in games? I think that's going to be the key to this, whatever series they end up playing in the second or third round. They're winning the first round, but it's going to get tough after that.
Yeah. Oklahoma City, we've had disagreements between the big guy and Oklahoma City. It's going to be fascinating. Like you said, the West is loaded. It's almost similar to the NHL. And look, that was certainly a vibe check I was throwing out in the group chat today. I was trying to see if the boys were buzzing. We did even get a response from Dustin about the NHL, which means the vibes were tremendously high. Salty Halty was in the mix. Samich kind of dominating. It's what he does. But we were talking about the Western Conference. And if you take the 3 teams, you take Dallas, Colorado, and VGK in the West, NHL style, we believe that those 3 are better than anything the East represents right now. Correct, Aaron?
Yeah, I definitely would say that's the case. I think you could make a strong case for Minnesota and put them in there as well. We'll see what happens with Edmonton, LA, but I think a team like Edmonton, if they get hot, I would take them as well. And it's partly, hey, those teams are solid in the West. They are really good. Vegas and Dallas and Colorado, like you said, there's not a lot of holes in those teams. And the other part of it is when you look at the Eastern Conference, you've got the surprise team in the Capitals who, congratulations on an incredible season, but this is the playoffs, and I'm not sure about them. You've just got Toronto as won the other division. It's like, really? I don't know if we're going to be real confident in Toronto. So you can poke holes in the 2 top teams of the regular season. Then you look down the rest of the East, and there's question marks. A team like Florida, who was very good, and a team we've loved for 2 years, so many injuries. They're getting some guys back, but how's that all going to mesh, getting them back in the playoffs? I'm not sure there. So there's just a whole lot of question marks in the East, where the West, I mean, it just looks pretty loaded top to bottom to me, minus maybe the Minnesota Wild.
I am looking at the bottom of the Western Conference odds where the St. Louis Blues are 18-1. They are your team. They are Mike Samich's team. We want to know if they should become VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio's team to win the West at a big price like that. 40-1 to win the Cup, 18-1 to win the West. Why don't we love your Blues as our team?
I think the path is just brutal for the Blues and for anybody out of the West for that matter. You got to think out of it. They got to go beat Winnipeg first. Now, look, Winnipeg, they're the President's Trophy winner. When you get to the playoffs, that doesn't mean quite as much, right? They also have had trouble winning games in the postseason, winning series in the postseason. Hellebuck, great goalie. In the postseason, he hasn't been that great. So, look, I think we can beat Winnipeg, but guess what? We've got Dallas or Colorado waiting for us next after that. And oh, by the way, we're going to have, let's say a miracle happens and we win those first two. Then we've got either Vegas or LA or Edmonton, most likely in the next round. That's a lot for a team that's playing a kid that was playing college hockey 2 weeks ago on their top line, guys. That's where the issue is. Scoring depth is not there for this team. They are gritty. They'll play tough. They'll be a tough out. They cannot string together that many series against those type of teams. It's just not going to happen. But can they beat Winnipeg? Yeah, but I just don't see them winning more than one series.
Dustin, I got them at 50-1 to win the cup this morning. The Blues.
50.
That's a fat number just for fun to put $100 on it. Why not?
Look, we say this every year with the Stanley Cup playoffs. The thing that makes it different than all the other ones, by the way, that's a Passover question. Why is this night different than all other nights? Why is the Stanley Cup playoffs different from all other postseasons? Because a team can just get hot at the right time and inexplicably.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe you even. Why would you even try?
Inexplicably tear down teams that are better than them on their way to a miracle run. We'll pretend that 5 seconds never happened during that sentence.
But I agree with your sentiment. It's like there are teams. Well, I mean, the Blues are a perfect example a few years back that just caught a heater. Bennington was hot. Go on to win a cup. We were joking the other day. It feels like every Stanley Cup winning team has some sort of shtick. I can't remember the shtick the Blues year they won the cup, but they definitely
John Hamm? Wasn't it John Hamm? Wasn't that their shtick?
No. Gloria. The song Gloria was the victory.
Oh, that's
song.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
John Hamm will be there no matter what. He's always there for the Blues game. But yeah, Gloria was the thing. We've got Joe Boo from Major League, the movie Major League. That's our stick this year. He turned it all around once he arrived in the locker room. So, but you look at the team that did it and won the cup, guys. You had Ryan O'Reilly playing center in his prime. Okay, that's a great player. You had Vladimir Tarasenko on wing in his prime. That's a great player. You just had so many great players. Alex Pietrangelo on defense, Jay Bouwmeester. These are guys that are probably going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We may have those guys, but they're like 22 and 23 years old. That's the thing. But here's the deal. No matter what happens, this is going to be so valuable for the Blues because in theory, this will be the worst team the Blues have in the next 4 or 5 years with all the young kids coming up. So look, you can go on miracle runs, but you've got to have those guys that can come through in the big moments. And I don't know that we have enough of them. And I'm just looking at it logically. Listen, I want you to cash that 50-1 worse than any bet you've ever laid. Trust me on that. But I just don't know that they can make that run.
I think it's fair. So the big guy and I were talking earlier, and we said we got to find a team from the East and the West. And I'm going to posit a team from the East. You guys probably saw it in the group earlier today. And look, Toronto, that's hilarious. Even though they should be better this year, there is way too much. There's more pressure on the Toronto Maple Leafs than there is on anybody than Rory McIlroy on Sunday. They can't win a cup. It's just not possible with how much they care.
And really for Canada's hopes, it's just them or Edmonton, right? That's pretty much it. Everyone else doesn't really have a chance.
Well, Vancouver, not Vancouver, but he mentioned Winnipeg.
Winnipeg,
yeah.
Okay. But so let me just say, let me go through it. Florida, who were my team last year, they're dead to me. Florida is going to get healthy, but they have played so badly. Like they played like one of the worst teams in hockey for the past few weeks. That's just, they get beat nonstop. So I don't like them. Washington's been a great story with Ovi, but as Aaron just mentioned, there were no expectations coming in. Those are the type of teams that generally, once we get to the postseason, I know you guys love Carolina. I don't really care. New Jersey, I don't care. I certainly don't care about Ottawa. Montreal's a fun story. So here's my team for the East. We've got a coach that's won 2 Stanley Cups, a team that's 47-26, 102 points, and it feels like they've just gone under the radar all year, and that's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Why not, boys?
Yeah, look, they make sense. You got Vasilevsky in the net as well, and I think arguably he's still one of the best goalies in the league and a guy you want for the playoffs for sure. They catch Florida at the right time because I believe, look, if Florida can win the first round, all of a sudden it's more time to gel, more time to get those guys back in the lineup. They're going to get stronger as you go. Tampa gets them right off the bat, so that's the key. And I think the winner of that series is probably going to be Toronto, and then all of a sudden you're in the East Finals against a Carolina or a Capitals or whoever. So they're not as good as they were. I will say that they're not those Stanley Cup winning Tampa Bay Lightning. There's no doubt about that. They're not quite as explosive. But if the goalie can stay hot, Valesky's had a good season. If he can keep playing well, they got to get by Florida, obviously. You could argue if they get by Florida, those next two teams they play might not be as talented as the Panthers. And they're going to have home advantage because they finished ahead of them. Because like you said, Florida's been a disaster that's the last month of the season. So
yeah,
I don't hate it. I think it's a good play.
Okay, here's what I'll do then. That I just throw out a team. Big Guy, you're going to throw out a team in the East. And Aaron, you're going to throw out a team in the East. And then like a family, we're going to come together and we're going to pick our team in the East. Big Guy, you're up next.
Well, I'm going to go very chalky and mention the Florida Panthers just because if you look back Stanley Cup championship runs, you mentioned the Lightning. They went back-to-back 1920, 2021. Before that, the Penguins 15-16 and 16-17. I'm just saying sometimes these teams, where they're constructed properly, they have the experience. They know what it takes to go through this run and get it done in the end. Why not just take Florida to go back-to-back here?
Should we give the numbers, Dustin, I'm going to look it up right now, too.
Plus 350 to win the East, because we can either bet them to win the Cup or bet them to win their conference. But right now, 350 in the East, 8-1 to win the Cup.
And what about my Lightning?
Your Lightning are 9-1 to win the Cup. In the Eastern Conference, they are 4-1. See, what's interesting is maybe we should just bet a team in the East and a team in the West to win those conferences. That way we can win two bets and not have to worry about a hedge scenario in the final.
All right. Dustin's on Florida. I'm on Tampa. Halty, Salty, it's your turn.
I'm never on this team, but I'm on Carolina this year. I feel like there's a couple things. Number one, the Devils are a very weak first round opponent. They are going to take care of the Devils. The Devils had a good first half of the season. They got a lot of guys hurt the second half of the year, and they have not been very good. But since they had such a good record to start the year, they held on and made the playoffs. So I'm taking Carolina, and then, they probably will match up with the Capitals. I think they can beat them. And then it's just a matter of, can you beat Tampa, Florida, Toronto? I think this Carolina team is very steady. They play playoff style hockey all season long. They're not flashy, but I think that's the team I'm going to back in what is a very, very weak Eastern Conference.
Okay, so I just sent, you guys will see it coming through in the group. I said, Samich, deal breaker time. We need a family team in the East. Me, TB, Big Guy, Florida, Aaron, Carolina. And you know what, that donkey, he is going to ride with his co-host. He's going to say Carolina. He loves to suck them. He just, it's not, there's nothing Samich likes more than jocking himself, 1, 2, hating on Winnipeg, and then 3, liking Carolina.
I regret my pick. I shouldn't have done something different than you. We should have been aligned, and then we should have eliminated.
Put pressure on those idiots.
Yeah. But then we have to eliminate both votes, and we have to come together on a different team because we negated each other's votes. Look, I should have went with
you and I are a team. Those two donks are a team. We got to come together, Big Guy.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Yeah, we got to go up against them.
Go ahead, Halterman.
Well, you guys assume that he's going to reply. He's probably on a beach or something somewhere, Costa Rica, taking a cruise, playing badminton, something like that. He told me yesterday he was playing lacrosse. I was like, you're the biggest liar. I know you're not playing lacrosse. So I don't know what the hell he's doing from any day. So who knows?
Yeah. He is a donk. All right. So now we go to the West.
Okay.
Now, it would be sacrilegious not to pick the Blues. However, should we be realistic? Right? Is that where we're going to start, boys? Because the West right now, the West is effing loaded. Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, Los Angeles might be the Kings might be playing the best hockey in hockey right now. So they're live. They're going to face off with Edmonton, who Aaron mentioned in the first round, and the Kings have home ice. And I'm telling you right now, they're buzzing here in the South Bay. Big Guy, I'll start with you in the West.
We are going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights. They are 5-1 to win the Western Conference. In the Stanley Cup, they are 10-1. They were 12-1 most of the year. A lot of that core still intact from when they won the cup a couple years ago. I think that matters here. I think experience matters because it's a lot tenser in the postseason for these teams. And that's really all the ammo I have when it comes to defending the Vegas Golden Knights here.
I think it's a tremendous pick. Halty, salty, soy sauce.
It's a great pick because it's also my pick as well. If you guys remember the first show when you guys, I think it's actually your second overall show, but the first show I was on for the new show here, I told you the Vegas Golden Knights are going to win the Stanley Cup. I think they were like 12-1 at the time. I haven't jumped off of them. I think it's a great pick. They're very tough to beat at home. I think that's great. Their center depth is incredible. Their defensemen are big, physical. They're going to wear on you as series go on. I love Vegas a lot. I think they're going to get it done. Going to be tough, trying to beat those teams that they're going to have to beat. But I love Vegas. I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, Aaron stole my notes on everything I was going to say.
Clearly.
I got nothing. I believe in hockey. Correct me if I'm wrong, they call it a hat trick. 3 for 3. VGK. No brainer. Let's effing go. We are riding.
That's our team.
We are riding with the Golden Knights. And you know what? We should feel good about it. A genuine franchise with a genuine fan base that has respected the sport. Important that ownership ever since their inception hasn't not tried, hasn't not invested. I like that. I like the vibes.
How about this? So year one, they lose in the cup final, right? Then they eventually win the cup a couple years ago. And then if they were to win the cup this year, could we make the case it's the greatest start for an expansion team in sports history? Am I missing someone that
I would have to think
that
though?
good?
I can't even think if there would be anything come close off the top of mind.
Yeah, I mean, by far, I think, even if they go out in the first round, I think we could still say it, right? I think we could just stamp that already.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'll add, guys, I think Bruce Cassidy is a tremendous hockey coach, like tremendous. There's some good ones in the league. I think he's about as good as anybody. So that's another thing on our side. Because listen, coaching in the regular season, you just kind of get the boys excited to play, and that's it. When you get in these 7-game series, coaching matters big time.
How do we feel about the goaltending, by the way? How do we feel about the goaltending? Aiden Hill still the goalie?
He's fantastic. I think he's going to be good. He's had a great season, signed a new contract, playing great. He won the cup a couple years. He was the goalie, so he's got experience. I don't have any worries about Aiden Hill. I think he'll be really good.
Okay, I love it. I'm going to be betting VGK right now, awaiting the Prince, Mike Somich, with his Eastern Conference play, which we will get, no doubt. So I'm excited about it. We were talking to Mike about it yesterday, Aaron. Like, you love hockey. It's hard to explain how much fun the Stanley Cup playoffs are. It's just completely different sport. And regular season hockey is good, very good. It's a total different level.
It's ramped up times 10. And what I would tell people that are maybe new or maybe just picked it up during the Four Nations, when you saw those Four Nation games, that's playoff hockey, right? That's what it's going to be, except it's not just one game. You're going to have a 7-game series. Imagine the United States and Canada in a 7-game series. That's what you're getting when you look at the NHL and you look at these playoffs. They care so much. The buy-in is so large for hockey players to win the Stanley Cup. It's such a coveted thing, and you're going to see it. The intensity is going to be there. So if you're new to it, you kind of picked up the sport during that, this is the time where this sport really shines every night. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's like Christmas Day on Saturday when this thing gets going.
From a betting perspective, I want to know what changes for you in betting the postseason, but also I have to ask a question from the YouTube. VSiN Live on YouTube, you can watch the show every day for free live. It's also posted up there after the show for you to go back and watch it on demand. Someone asked in the chat, ask Halterman if the jockey switch from Pratt to Ortiz means anything for publisher. Ortiz is 0 for 8 in the Derby.
I would rather have Pratt. I would definitely rather have Pratt. So I don't love the switch, although I don't think you lose a whole lot with that. There's a lot of jockeys that are over for the Derby. It's kind of one of those things. It's circumstantial a lot of times if you just kind of fall onto the right horse. I don't think it's a total deal breaker. If you like publisher, I wouldn't jump off of him because of the jockey change. I did hear that Pratt wants to ride a horse named Baeza, who right now is on the outside looking in as far as the Kentucky Derby. So I think it needs a little bit. If Baeza gets in, that's who Pratt's going to be on, which kind of tells me that he thinks he's live. But, overall, if you like Publisher, I wouldn't jump off of him just yet. I think he'll be fine with Ortiz.
It's a great answer and a great question in the chat over at VSiN Live on YouTube. So speaking of which, that's where VSiN at the Track is going to be on Friday at 2:15 East. Aaron Halterman, Mike Somich, VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby. And then that's replayed on Saturday on VSiN proper at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. I think I got the times right. And then on Kentucky, this is all top of dome piece, by the way. Then on Kentucky Derby Saturday, 4 to 7 Eastern time. This is legitimately exciting news. Aaron Halterman, Mike Somich, going to simulcast on VSiN and Mad Dog Sports Radio with a 3-hour Kentucky Derby lead-in. You got to be fired. We were congratulating you before the show. You're like, yeah, thanks, guys. You got to get fired up here. You're fired up, no?
I'm excited. Yeah, absolutely. I love that I'm able to be a little bit bigger part of VSiN, and that's great. Yeah. So I'm pumped about it. It's fun. Listen, those 3 hours are going to fly by, right? Because there's nothing more excited than Derby Day and getting into the very last, and then we'll be on after as well. So yeah, I'm pumped up. I'm just trying to play it low key, just trying to keep my cool.
Maybe we should have asked Heather Halterman. I'm sure she's more excited than you are.
No, Aaron is saving his excitement for when they have a winning ticket that hits big on Kentucky Derby Day. That's all. He's saving it for later.
That would be nice. That certainly would be nice. Maybe this is the year. Last year certainly was not. So,
well, you also what Samich said yesterday, which I'm excited for the audience on Mad Dog Sports Radio and VSiN. You got 3 hours to lay out. Teach them how to build a ticket. Walk them through the thought process. Help them with the vernacular. People get confused by exacta boxes and all that kind. The vernacular in horse racing can be a little intimidating.
Oh yeah, and that is a good thing that we'll have kind of because our audience at Racing Dudes is more of an experienced audience, where this will be more of kind of just we'll have some experienced people obviously, but we'll have some novice people that you could kind of teach how to bet, because like I said, it is kind of complicated, and also hopefully, like Dustin said, the right horses to use in those bets. You get a big bet, they cash, and maybe they're back on a day that's not the Kentucky Derby. So it's always nice to kind of have a new audience that you follow, because like I said, at Racing Dudes, it's kind of that core horse racing group where we'll kind of expand, obviously, and so that'll be really nice for sure.
Well, congratulations, well deserved. A lot of hard work that you put into the sport, and so getting some shine ain't a bad thing. Aaron Halterman, again, you can go check out Racing Dudes, racingdudes.com for all your horse racing needs. Of course, VSiN and Mad Dog Sports Radio. Aaron, thank you. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Aaron Halterman. Dustin, this is on me, because you were trying to convince me not to go with Chicago. It is 60-37 with 4:36 to play. Miami is killing the Bulls right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for Chicago. This, honestly, not that I've been locked into the game, just on the background here. This is one of those deals where maybe we underestimated Eric Spoelstra and the impact he can have with these games in a vacuum and the preparation and how good of a coach he's been over the years. However, I would note the Tyler Hero play we talked about. He has 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. So we're on pace to go over the 35.5 combo points for Hero today. So very happy about that part of things.
It's a good job by you. Coming up next, Alex Noops Christensen, FTN fantasy analyst, does an amazing job. We'll talk about the NBA postseason. And you know what he's got going right now? He's got that Wall Street look. Slicked back. For the ladies,
Pat Riley.
Showtime. For the ladies, I would encourage you, youtube.com/VSiN Live for this next segment. We're back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, the big guy, Dustin Swedelson. I'm Patrick Meagher. We welcome you back. The play-ins tonight. Miami's at Chicago. Miami is beating up on Chicago right now, though plenty of time. 3 minutes to go in the second. 62-39, Miami leading the Bulls. And, of course, you have later Sacramento hosting Dallas. To discuss that, it's our guy, Alex Noops Christensen, FTN NBA analyst @_Noops. And Noops said it best in the break. Just happy to have playoff basketball. Happy to turn the page. That was a long march into April, and here we are, Noops. It's a great time of the year, no?
It's the best. We're getting to see some incredible basketball. We're finally at the time of the year where we don't have to worry about weird rest schedules or motivation or any of the problems that we have in the 82-game sojourn that is the NBA regular season. We're going to get to see a lot of these guys healthy, a lot of these guys playing at their best, and coaches actually have time to plan for teams and run practice and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Admittedly, the first game tonight didn't start the way I had hoped it had, but maybe the brilliance of Coach Spoelstra is not just quite planning, but also just suddenly fixing everyone's jump shot.
Yeah, what are you seeing in the game? Because we've been on the air about 2 minutes to go in the half. Miami's up 64-39. Heat are currently laying 16.5 in game. You can get plus 850 on the money line with the Bulls the other way. Total is 223.5. What have you seen in the first half in this game so far?
It just every shot for Miami is going in, and it's not that Chicago's the best defensive team, but I thought they've given a fairly decent effort here. I'm just surprised that all these shots are just suddenly going in for Miami, and I think that speaks to the nature of the play-in tournament and why this is exciting and why March Madness is exciting. It's one game. Anything can sort of happen here in one game. So we'll see if they can turn things around here. I think the pace of the game has really suited the Bulls, despite the fact that they're way down here. They are going to shoot better in the second half, but the problem here now is Miami with a lead is pretty dangerous. Spoelstra knows how to call plays to really grind this game down, so I'm a little bit worried that maybe the Bulls won't have enough chances to catch up, but I certainly don't think Miami to win this game is a lock despite having a big lead.
Yeah, I would agree. And nice three from Voos, so maybe we can try to climb our way back into this. It is a 66-44. Minute 34 to go in the second. The second game coming up tonight, Dallas is at Sacramento. What is it, Dustin? Is it still 4.5 with Sac laying it?
It's now 5, and that total is low. It is 213 in Mavs and Kings.
Noops, what are you looking at in this matchup?
Just a really messy game. It's kind of hard to figure out this Mavericks team. We don't really have a large sample size of all these big guys playing together. At the same time, you look at Sacramento, Sabonis has been finally healthy the last couple games here, but just hard to really be inspired by either one of these teams. Now, you have some interesting, sort of qualitative stuff, if you will, in that are the Mavericks, do they care about this game? But at the same time, is it going to be easier for them to be on the road? They don't have to deal with any Fire Nico chance or any of the goofiness that comes from playing in Dallas for them. So do they finally sort of get to relax here? Nothing official for me here, but I think if you're looking to bet this game, if you like Dallas, put Dallas with the under. If you like Sacramento, put Sacramento with the over. I think the game state here is one in that if Sacramento puts up a lot of points, the Mavericks don't have the offense to really catch up. I don't care how bad the Sacramento defense is. There's just not enough offensive firepower for the Mavericks to score points in bunches. At the same time, if Davis is playing well, if Lively's playing well, Gafford's playing well, and this game gets really ugly, then the Mavericks really have a chance. So what I'd suggest is, again, if you feel good about a side here, go Mavericks and under, Kings and over. I think more often than not, you go 1-1 there.
Love it. Noops, I know you've got official plays when it comes to series prices, but we might as well just go series by series here, get your overall thoughts of the matchup. And the one that jumps out to everyone based on what happened last night, Golden State advances. They're going to be the 7 seed taking on the 2 seed in Houston. And that price, the 7 seed is a -$2 favorite, plus 165 coming back on the Rockets. How surprised were you by that number?
It's a very interesting series to handicap, and one in which I've talked to several smart people, and the price on Golden State makes sense to them, and some people think it doesn't. It's one of those things where I show a little bit of value on Houston, but it comes down to, again, stuff that's a little bit harder to quantify with data. What does the veteran leadership mean for the Golden State Warriors? For the Rockets, we just watched the Memphis Grizzlies basically go big the entire game and give them a lot of trouble. The Houston Rockets have one of the best double big lineups. They've been playing incredible basketball with Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün on the floor. We just saw, I think it was about a week ago, maybe a little bit more, Amen Thompson really do as well on Stephen Curry as we've ever seen anyone. This Houston Rockets team is going to be ready and primed. I think the first game, maybe two games, go Houston's way, and then it comes to Golden State. Can they win games 3 and games 4? So it's a series where I'm really going to sort of wait a game and kind of watch here. But if you're looking to bet this, look a little further down the deli menu. If you like Golden State, get yourself some like Rockets to win game 1, Golden State to win the series, stuff like that. I think at this point, the first game's going to be tough. The Rockets will be rested and ready. And I'm just curious to see how, again, Golden State responds to a level of physicality that they're just not used to.
Noops, no need to bury the lead. The big guy's a Knicks fan. I'm a Pistons fan. It sounds like you're going to get juicy with my Pistons. Do you think they legitimately have a chance to win this series?
I absolutely do. I think it makes perfect sense that the Knicks are favored. Again, for the first time all season, probably since before the season, these guys will have had some time to get rested, be ready. I think the Knicks start the series very well. But the Pistons have shown us already this year they can win in New York. They won twice. Both times the Knicks played the Pistons in New York, the Pistons won outright as big underdogs in all those situations. So I think the first game for a young Pistons team is going to be really tough. I think the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, fully healthy with a week to prepare, it's going to be tough. But as this series goes along, it's going to get more difficult for New York. I think a lot of their advantages are going to kind of dry up. I think the Pistons at some point will find a way to attack Brunson, attack Karl Anthony Towns, or they're on the offensive end, and find a way to deal with them. So when I just look at this series, again, I have the Knicks favored. The Knicks probably win this series, but I think the Pistons are very live. And as I said, you look a little further down the board, I think that a lot of these series prices are set in a pretty good place. But if you look at some of the other options you have, they're very interesting. So I like the Pistons to win this series, but again, a lot of books and just about everyone has either game 1 or game X and the series markets. Knicks to win game 1, Pistons to win the series, anywhere from plus 600 to plus 700, depending on where you look. I think that is an incredible price. I think we're going to be way ahead of where the market is when the Knicks game 1. The Pistons will not be plus 600, plus 700. So I'm going to get ahead of it and do that.
Yeah, even as a Knicks fan, Noops, the number's disrespectful to Detroit. I mean, Detroit could absolutely come out and hit the Knicks in the mouth, and I mean that both like figuratively and literally. Like if they don't win the game, they might start throwing punches towards the Knicks. So if the Pistons can sneak away and win game 1, all of a sudden that number adjusts and you could lock something in there. So I totally understand that. How about this Lakers Timberwolves series in the West where, look, the Lakers are almost $2 favorites. Minnesota's plus 160. But since, I don't know, about 6 weeks ago, Minnesota's been playing totally different basketball. Are you buying into what the T-Wolves have done?
I am. I think the Timberwolves are the slightly better team in this series. Now, my concern is how long does it take them to basically effectively bench Rudy Gobert? I don't think that he's going to be able to play a lot of minutes in this series. He struggles to guard even guys like Rui Hachimura. I expect him to be on the floor anytime Jackson Hayes is and guys kind of like that. But the Lakers have played best when they're small. So I wonder kind of who is going to win the game of chicken initially. I expect the Lakers to push for small lineups. And then what does Minnesota do? Do they try to play big or do they pull Gobert first? So I think the Lakers actually start the series with a couple wins at home. But we saw last year, the Timberwolves are fine. They lose the first 2 games on the road. They can go back home, win that series. One of my favorite angles every year throughout the playoffs is the lower seeded team minus 1.5 games. Basically, the lower seeded team, they host game 6. Now, not that they can't win in game 7, but more often than not, the lower seed wins in game 6 or earlier. So if you play that team minus 1.5 games, you're basically playing them to win the series 4-2 or better. I think that is a really interesting outcome and a place where the Timberwolves really are looking to be. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think it will be a pretty competitive series. So I like the Timberwolves here, and I'm going to play a minus 1.5 games. I'm seeing plus 250 or better on that. I just think that's a really nice number.
Alex Snoops Christensen, we've had some guys we respect talking NBA on the program, and the really smart ones love the Clippers versus the Nuggets. as do you, laying a game and a half plus 160 with the Clippers. How come?
I think this price assumes that Jamal Murray is healthy and playing good basketball, and I'm not sure either of those is true. Before Mike Malone was asked to no longer coach the Nuggets, he had talked openly about the fact that Murray might be healthy by game one. Now, he did play in their final game of the season, did not look good, has had this hamstring injury basically his entire career, has never gotten over it. And if he's not 100%, I'm just not sure Nikola Jokic has enough to really continue to drag this team through the season. And it's just incredible. Jokic is easily the best player in the league by my count, is just doing things to redefine what it means to be incredible. I mean, I don't think anyone has ever been top 5 in the league in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, and had basically one of the best 3-point shooting percentages for people that are shooting at high volume. It's absolutely incredible what he's done. But I think he's given a little too much of himself at this point to get them there. If you remember when they won the championship, they had the 1 seed pretty early. He basically took the whole last month of the season off, came in fresh and kind of dominated. Maybe he does. Maybe he finds a way to drag the Nuggets through this series, but the Clippers have been the second best team in the Western Conference and one of the best teams in the league for the last month, with Kawhi healthy, James Harden's playing good basketball, Norm Powell's great, and Ty Lue's one of the best coaches in the league. I think the matchup really favors the Clippers. I hate betting against the best player in the league and the best player in the series, but I like the Clippers here. And just like I said about the Timberwolves, they're the lower seeded team. I think they win in game 6 or earlier. So just like I took Timberwolves -1.5, give me the Clippers -1.5 games. I think that's how this happens.
Okay, we've got the Pacers favored -195 in the series against the Bucks, Noops, plus 160 on Milwaukee. It feels like if this was a video game, Milwaukee wins this series every time. The market disagrees. If you had a lean on Pacers Bucks, which way would you go?
I think the Pacers win this series. I'm curious to see how the Bucks look. If I felt more confident about Dame Lillard coming back, I would look into again kind of that market of Pacers win game 1, Bucks win the series, basically find a way to bet the Pacers early, Bucks later. Because if Dame can come back and he's healthy, maybe there's something here. But again, I just don't know how much we can expect that to happen. And with all due respect to a guy that's been a good coach, has had a lot of winning seasons, I'm not betting on Glenn Rivers. We have seen him time and time again come into series and find ways to mess these things up. I mean, we're talking about a guy that at one point during a press conference this year said he deserves more credit for winning 3 games in playoff series. Maybe he doesn't know you have to win 4 to win the series. I'm not really sure what's kind of happening there, but I just think this Pacers team has been playing great basketball. They're healthy. They're right where you want them to be. The Bucks are just limping through the end here. So unless Dame can come back healthy, I think the Pacers win this.
Okay, Noobs, want to ask you about the Magic Celtics. No, I'm just joking. I don't. Like, what can you do? Like, there's nothing, literally nothing we can do with that. Dustin asked you about Golden State and Houston. I think that's fascinating with the pricing. The if I were to ask you about the Celtics, I would have to ask you this way. Have you changed it? I feel like you've been saying Cleveland. If we see this matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals, are you still with Cleveland?
I am, and I've always thought it would be pretty close, but I think again the values in Cleveland. I think Cleveland is pretty close to being as good a team as Boston is, and with home court advantage, should basically be small favorites in that Eastern Conference Finals. Now, when it comes that time, I expect the Celtics to be small favorites, but I would make the Cavs small favorites. So I'm still pretty confident. I'm not worried about the last month of the Cavaliers playing basketball. It happens every season. The team that locks up the 1 seed then has to go on some goofy road trip late in the season. They were on the West Coast for like 2.5 weeks. Of course, they lost some games. They lost their focus, but Donovan Mitchell has been fantastic all season and really holding some stuff back. What I'm excited for Cleveland is to see what Mitchell's going to do when he plays 40, 42 minutes a game and really starts to dominate here. I think the Cavaliers are in great shape. And if the Knicks can somehow be healthy in the next round against the Celtics, Boston suddenly has a much tougher route to the Eastern Conference Finals, whereas Cleveland, I can't imagine any of the teams in front of them doing anything to slow them down.
Okay, so yesterday on the show, Patrick had a list of teams he believes can win the championship. He included my Knicks in that, Noops. He convinced me to buy back in that the Knicks can kind of figure this thing out because this is all that matters. The regular season was a different story. Tell us why we're crazy or why we're geniuses here thinking the Knicks at about 28-1 can make a title run.
The problem is, guys, the Knicks would have to beat the Celtics, the Cavaliers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder to win the championship. And
Easy.
That's probably not going to happen, and you'll probably do a lot better just betting them series to series if you want. My list is 3 teams. I think it's the Thunder, the Celtics, or the Cavaliers. I don't think the Lakers have enough depth or enough size to get through. I think the Warriors just had to take a little bit too much of a beating. I don't think that Denver's going to be healthy enough to get through. I look through the Eastern Conference, it really is just 2 teams. So I'm at a 3-team list, and with all due respect to the Knicks, they literally have the toughest pathway through the playoffs of any team. It's going to be brutal. So if you want to bet the Knicks, just do it series to series. Definitely don't look at any futures.
Just to cut myself some slack, I was in a tough spot, big guy Noops, because I have to titillate an audience while pretending I think the Knicks can win a championship.
Yeah, but then you toyed with my emotions, and then I started to legitimately buy back in.
I just love Jalen Brunson. That's really my only answer. I
Hey,
love Brunson, and they can shoot threes.
They're like 0-17 against the top teams in the league. Some would say they're
not
due
very
for
good.
wins. They're due for wins.
The Noob said it best. It's not very good. All right. Well, it is like the play-in adds a little bit of juice. You had a good game last night with Golden State and Memphis. Jimmy Butler went off. The games tonight, we'd like to see the Bulls make a little bit of a comeback in the second half. And Dallas-Sacramento is legitimately a terrible basketball game. I don't really know how to paint that one. You saw Nico came out today, Noobs, and was like, would never regret the trade. The Luka trade was awesome.
It's just, I guess at some point I give Nico credit just committing. I mean, if you're going to do something like that, this is how you have to behave. You have to behave like you're the smartest person in the room and that you really think that what you got back in that trade that didn't involve too many draft picks, that didn't involve Austin Reeves, that didn't involve calling more than 2 or 3 other teams for arguably one of the most valuable assets in the NBA, that you just did the right thing. I mean, honestly, I give Nico credit for still showing up to Mavericks games. I don't know if I, in that moment, would have the cojones to show up to a stadium full of people cheering against you. I mean, I always think of, there's that Seinfeld episode where he goes and starts to heckle the girl at her job. How many people besides comedians have to deal with people showing up and booing them at work, let alone cheering? Thousands, tens of thousands of people cheering, fire this guy. I don't, hey, congrats to him, man. You really got a solid pair there if you're willing to keep up and stand up strong for what you really think is right, even though, myself included, everyone else thinks, God, you're an idiot. You made the worst trade in NBA history.
Yep, you did. All right. Alex Noobs Christensen, FTN NBA analyst @_Noops on Twitter. Noobs, great stuff. The playoffs are here. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Best of luck until we speak again.
Noobs is a legend. We'll continue with your calls. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Come back with the in-game number on Bulls and Heat as well. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Let's say hi to our buddy Reed in Montana with some NBA Finals predictions here, VSiN Live. Hey, Reed.
And get all this stuff and shut the back of the car.
Reed's in trouble.
Reed. Oof.
Oh no, Reed's getting
Shorty is so look. Reed's going through it. Look, that's what you have to look forward to.
I do. Oh, I do every day. I do everything wrong, dude. I can't do anything right.
See, you're learning what being in a relationship is about. You can't
you
do
know
anything right. What are you talking about?
But you know how I am. If I do something, I want credit for it. So I'll go, look, I washed all the dishes. And then my girlfriend will look at said dishes and go, they're not clean. Or why did you put them back and they're still wet? There's water on them. You can't put them back in the cabinet. So it now negates the good deed that I think I did and got ahead of.
Right.
When I should have just proven to be a lazy boyfriend and done nothing and just let that be the hang up with me. Not that I can't actually do the tasks correctly.
I can't disagree with her putting wet dishes in the cabinet. Not a great call.
Sure.
Give me one more thing you've done recently that she just completely botched.
I'm pretty clumsy. She has a coffee place she loves here, and she got 2 coffees when we went. She had one that day. She put one in the fridge. I went to take something out of the fridge to make breakfast as she was about to leave. I pulled what I needed out. It knocked her coffee out that she was saving from the day before, and it spilled all over the kitchen as she was leaving for work.
She was bitter.
She was like, I don't understand why you wouldn't move the coffee first instead of trying to sneak the Tupperware around it. That was idiotic. Now I don't have time to go get coffee. You ruined my morning. And I said,
again,
yeah,
it's a mistake, but I got to give point to her. She's not making a bad point.
No lie spotted.
Eric Lindquist is going to join us next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN is on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and the SiriusXM app. As an exclusive offer for SiriusXM listeners, you can get full VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $19. It gets you a daily email with all the best bets from hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, plus our Kentucky Derby betting guide, the NFL betting guide when it drops. Go to vsin.com/subscribe, use the promo code SIRIUS, and lock in the special offer. VSiN, the sports betting network. Of course, this is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. And just quickly before we get to Eric, big guy, understand, I know I pick on you a lot. That wasn't picking on you, but trust me, you want me to agree with your girlfriend about your foibles than to be on your side. It's better for everybody, I assure you.
So she's not even listening right now, and I just got a text. Hey, this is not shtick. FYI, my white pan that you use, remember to wash the outside also. It gets stained, and it takes 20 minutes to scrub it all out. She has no idea what we just talked about, and that is the exact text I just got. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Again, I'm on her side, but low-key, wink, wink, because it's copacetic that way.
Yeah,
Trust
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
Also, no, she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. Just, you are doing a show.
Yeah.
The pan conversation, I understand. Eric Lindquist, odd shopper betting analyst at Eric Lindquist on Twitter. He's great when it comes to baseball, basketball, anything you need. I believe Eric's married. So do you have advice for Dustin?
Yeah, the answer is yes. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I think you need to get that in your vocabulary immediately. Almost a decade for me and the wifey. And there are amazing things such as, like, I don't know, just finding ways of avoiding all confrontation by agreeing with her. Even when you don't, you do. That's my advice.
How do you play that game within your own head of knowing you are actually correct, but the correct thing to do in this situation is to act like you know you're
Pride.
Well, we're betting every day. What's positive expected value? What is the positive expected value in this situation? My friend, understand that the answer is yes, ma'am. It is never no, ma'am. It is truly just doing what she says to do. And I just think even if I'm right, I'm wrong. And even if I'm wrong, I'm right. So, it doesn't matter what you think. Your logic doesn't matter anymore. Congratulations. Welcome to the family.
Leave it to Eric to go positive EV on relationship talk.
Mm-hmm. There's only one way to do it, and that's the way that I do it. That's how I justify letting her be wrong when she's right.
But this is a man that's 10 years deep. So that's a success. That is a big time success. I'm probably too egotistical to allow somebody just to agree with them all the time. That's why 47 is in my position. So to be fair, boys, don't take advice from me. Why don't we start? Because this might be a good teaching moment. And maybe you can walk through why people did what they did, and then your pricing on the prop we're about to discuss. Josh Giddey, betting, social media going crazy. Everybody betting Josh Giddey to record a triple-double tonight at like plus 180. I hadn't seen any of it. I heard the price. I'm like, that's an insane price. Can you walk us through this situation?
Yeah, so when you're projecting out a player, Josh Giddey, obviously we expect a surplus in minutes. And you look at his baseline rates, 14.6 points, 8.1 rebounds, 7.2 assists. And you look at it, it's not that far away from a triple-double across the board. I mean, Jokic just averaged one, right? But here's the major problem that I have is that what just happened for the last month of the season, and Dustin knows this well, we were lamenting about this before the show, it hasn't mattered. It's been egregious basketball for about a month. And while it's been profitable, if you're paying attention to news, when you start projecting players for this time of year, things change. And the major thing that changes is the Heat turn into a team that has Eric Spoelstra playing head coach for them. And whenever you have Eric Spoelstra out there, you have to understand he's not going to just let you do what the Toronto Raptors have been letting you do for a month and what other teams have been letting you do for a month who had nothing to play for. So Chicago, that's been in eternal purgatory with their roster for the last, 3-4 years. Josh Giddey goes on this eternal heater for a month and a half, 2 months, and all of a sudden, everybody can't stop themselves from a plus 230 that turns into a plus 220 that turns into a plus 185. And I'm just staring at this. It doesn't change the pace metrics for the Heat. It doesn't change that this is about as slow and difficult as a matchup as you can run into for the Chicago Bulls. And even if he were to achieve it, even if he were, you are outperforming all of his pace metrics, everything that projection models could possibly teach you. You're outperforming it by a landslide. So here's the thing. I didn't have a single play on this game. It's okay to take games single off of an NBA schedule. We've had so much basketball. We have so much baseball going forward, NFL draft, NFL season coming up. You don't have to throw your money away just because the hordes are too.
Love it. And wait, what was your true, like, sorry, 1 second, Dustin. What was your true number, Eric, if you were to price out a Giddey triple-double tonight?
Exact number plus 392.
I love these guys.
He has 15, 5, and 4. 15, 5, and 4. Doesn't look like it's going to get home about 7 minutes to go in the third. Now, what is your level of surprise that the Heat are just putting it on Chicago? 76-59. And maybe we shouldn't be surprised because you mentioned Spoelstra and what he's able to do as a tactician, as a guy drawing up X's and O's. What do you think of this game where the Bulls closed as 2-point favorites?
Well, what if we reverse, like, let's do a draft of every player on the floor, because come playoff time, whenever you have the best player on the floor, you're always live. I would take 2 Miami Heat players before I touched a single Chicago Bull. Is that fair to say? Like, we would all take number 1, Bam Adebayo, despite a poor season by his standards. Tyler Hero, number 2. And if I'm trying to win a basketball game, an individual basketball game, I'd probably take Andrew Wiggins, even in this version of Andrew Wiggins, before I take Josh Giddey, who has his deficiencies on the defensive side. With Australia, he had moments, but I think I'm looking at that correctly. Am I wrong?
Not so far, because it's 78-59 in those.
And this isn't me trying to like reverse engineer it or say after the fact I told you so, but like, I think the Miami Heat with Eric Spoelstra at the helm, we've seen multiple times, they just outperform their coverage, whether it was Jimmy Butler going through a play-in tournament into an NBA Finals situation, getting past the Celtics when nobody expected that to happen. He's outperformed constantly. And while he's done some weird things this regular season that haven't made me as inspired, they're a 37-45 Miami Heat team for a reason. You still have a pretty intact core with Wiggins, who's acquired halfway through the season, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, who finally got minutes starting here in 2025, a nice young piece who, yeah, he's got some issues to his game, but can actually step out to the perimeter at times. And then Alec Burks, who's been around the block a couple of times. Like, it's still a team that just has way more experience top to bottom at the coaching positions and the floor positions than anything I'm looking at for the Bulls.
Yeah, I think I got caught up, and I was super square. I laid it with Chicago. I think I got caught up in just how the Bulls had played over the last 20 games or so, and expected, we talk about that word momentum. I just got caught up in it, and hand to God, it's an 18-point game, 5:30 to play. I mean, not complete. There is a 3-pointer from Kobe White, so it has been 15.
Making a little run. And again, I have no skin in the game. I'm just actively cheering against the Josh Giddey triple-double as a hater today.
I
So
totally
take
get
that for what it is. But look at their last remaining schedule. Let's just reverse engineer this side of it. The regular season, they played Philly, nothing to play for. Washington, nothing to play for. Miami, pretty solidified at that spot. Cleveland, nothing to play for. Charlotte, nothing to play for. Portland, nothing to play for. Toronto, nothing to play for. The entire month of April has been a mirage for the Chicago Bulls. And so I didn't know how to handicap this game. And sometimes when you don't know what to do, just stay away. So that was kind of my active approach.
Yeah, it's
I like the approach, but we're degenerates and we're on the air, so we.
That's fair.
Yeah, but it's one of those deals where it's like, we know we're excited about the Chicago Bulls, but we don't know the context of why we're excited. You just added the context. That we saw the wins, we saw the numbers, we saw the stats, but it was all kind of all for nothing because those games were not normal NBA games. And this is a play-in game with a chance to go to the postseason here between these two teams. And by the way, there's a guy on the other side coaching in Spoelstra who's been through this many times before. Should have just trusted that in the situation. How about when it comes to the other series that are upcoming? I guess I want to start with last night, Golden State advancing. They're the 7 seed. They're favored -$2 against the 2 seed in Houston. What did you think of the pricing of the Warriors?
I mean, this is surprising. No, I mean, this is a big number on the Golden State side that's going into Houston for 2 games. But I think the simplest way to look at this series and why we're looking at the prices that we are is two players, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks. Fred VanVleet back with Toronto, NBA champion. Dylan Brooks, Memphis teams, some really down and dirty Memphis teams that could ball it up in the postseason. Outside of those two, there is nothing on the Houston side with any playoff experience. They have great pieces. I'm a huge Amin Thompson fan. If he ever develops a jumper, might be a top 5, top 10 NBA player, as lofty as those expectations might sound for a rookie. I think you've got a number of nice pieces. Jalen Green, who has turned into more than just a scorer and not just a volume scorer at that, can really help in other situations, has started to create when need be. You have other guys that I really like on Houston, but it's Draymond Green and Steph Curry healthy with Jimmy Butler getting added at the deadline. It completely makes sense with the price that you're getting. I thought it was a pretty lofty number. And it was like 17. I think it closed like 21-1 when you were looking at Golden State out of the West or to get to the NBA Finals. But like, I hated that idea against Memphis with the play-in tournament. But now that you drop them up against Houston, I mean, that's kind of the team everybody would want to play. So they should thank their lucky stars that they didn't beat the Clippers, because I think they dropped in the perfect spot to potentially make a run.
That's a good point. And also, it maybe $2 isn't the true price, but once you get into this, the market, people want to bet Steph. They want to, as Dustin said, the Golden State tax. It's a young Houston team that nobody really hasn't proven anything. So it's the perfect storm for bettors. And like you said, I think for Golden State to take on Houston to start. Tonight, let's get this one out of the way. It's not exactly an explosive matchup, but Dallas will travel to Sacramento. It is up to 6, and you are going to take it with Dallas.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it. I didn't want to, let it be known. I hate Dallas and everything that they stand for with the Luka Doncic ridiculousness that we had to deal with earlier this season. There's no reason that he should be a Los Angeles Laker whatsoever. And just because you say defense wins championships, Nico, it doesn't make it true. Just because that's your foundational piece. You got to score. You got to be able to score in the half court. You've got to be able to have different levels to your team to be able to beat Boston, to be able to beat Oklahoma City. And that's what Luka Doncic provides your basketball team. But in its current iteration, we get Anthony Davis back out there. And this number went 5, 5.5. Now, once it hit 6, I couldn't help but just dabble a little bit. It's a Sacramento team that has no true identity. They've had dinged up pieces around nonstop here. Malik Monk as well gets sent to the bench. Now he's going to be out for tonight. And you're going to see a lot more minutes for Keon Ellis. And it's still DeMar DeRozan. And it's still Zach LaVine sharing a floor together. Maybe it's just a little bit of a bias seeing them in Chicago and betting against them routinely early on in their tenure together, but it didn't work the first time around. It's certainly not working the second time around. And I don't know who ends up winning this game, but I've got this closer to a fair line right around 3.5, 4. And so once that elevated a little bit more, I think it's definitely going to beat out the VIG long term. So Anthony Davis, he's still a top 15 NBA player as long as he remains healthy. He's healthy for today. I think that's all that counts.
And you mentioned Keon Ellis. What are we going to do with his assist prop tonight?
We're taking an under on a 2.5 at -115, a little bit of a line sniper. It was sitting around -135, -140 everywhere. You just look at his rates. He's right around a 15% assist rate when sharing the floor with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. And I think when you get into these one-game scenarios, we've seen routinely really consolidated timeshare for wings. And then Domantas Sabonis is going to command a lot of the action going up against Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has had his number. I don't really care about historical values for one games, but Anthony Davis is going to give Domantas Sabonis all he can handle on the defensive end. You're going to still see it play through Keon Ellis a little bit, but to go out there and create in the half court for DeMar DeRozan, we know his mid-range. Zach LaVine on the perimeter was having a great shooting season, a little bit of a slump late on in the second half of the season, but I think 2.5 is still a big number for a kid that might not stay on the floor as much as expected. And obviously he's been bolstered by extra minutes, bolstered by the fact that Malik Monk isn't even behind him there to potentially steal some minutes away. But you run the rates and the rates are what they are. And there was a price discrepancy. So for me, I had to jump on that.
Eric Lindquist joining us, Odd Shopper betting analyst at Eric Lindquist on Twitter. Let me ask you about, no need to officially put a stake in it, but some of the other series. Dustin's a Knicks fan. I'm a Pistons fan. Excited about the series. The Knicks are big-time favorites. Do you give the Pistons a puncher's chance?
Well, I bet them. So I definitely do.
Okay, yeah.
So I got a bad number. I'm happy to admit when I've done something incorrectly, and I did. Plus 320, now sitting plus 330. Didn't see what it was sitting at today. But 2 days ago, I just kept staring at it, kept running the numbers. And this is a Detroit team that I think there are two major facets that I think could give the Knicks fits. The first one is Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley ups the variance of basketball. He is one of the best three-point shooters. He's always on the move. He's a poor man's Steph Curry in some capacity, but sitting with some of the higher three-point lines year in, year out that you look at in the prop market, back with my Minnesota Timberwolves in the day, and now here with the Detroit Pistons. We also have Dennis Schroeder, and I think he is the X factor of this entire series, if I'm being honest. We don't have a ceiling for New York Knicks. You don't see minutes get extended further. Like, you might see Josh Hart go from 42 to 48, but the main thing that happens in the postseason is that we now get Cade Cunningham from a 36, 38-minute guy into a 42, 44-minute guy if need be in elimination spots. We're going to see elevated ceilings for the best players getting extended minutes, and that doesn't happen underneath Tom Thibodeau. And so for me, the number just became way too wide, plus 320, plus 330, just for a series price here. I got to think Dennis Schroeder has to play a major part if Detroit. Now, obviously, do I expect, if you made me pick who do I think wins the series, I of course take the New York Knicks like everybody else, but it's price and probability. And I think Dennis Schroeder, we saw when he was playing over D'Angelo Russell with the Lakers, when he won most valuable player of the FIBA tournament, single-handedly taking down the American team in the semifinals a year ago, the Olympic team with Germany. He is a baller. He's a gamer. He's a dog. And I think he's one of the most underrated role players, despite we saw the brief tenure in Golden State and his failures there. Didn't really have the seamless fit that they were looking for. They shipped him out. He fell in a perfect spot where I think the minutes could be up. Asar Thompson's starting to figure it out more than just on the defensive end. I think it's a scrappy team. And now Cade Cunningham, he's going to be able to get his. But I think there's enough there between Schroeder and between Malik Beasley that they can be competitive.
Yeah, I think that bench is a massive X factor. Knicks are so shallow. They rely so much on those starters, logging heavy minutes. And if the shots aren't falling, then they have no one else to really turn to. Whereas that bench can come in for Detroit and steal some minutes away from those guys at the end of the bench for the Knicks. How about your Timberwolves? Fascinating to hear you're a Minnesota fan. They are plus 160. Lakers minus 195 in that series. Your boys have been playing good for a while now, about 2-3 months. What do you expect them to do against the Lakers?
I expect them to lose the series, and I think the price is kind of indicative of that. If you made me pick a side on that, I would be on the Lakers side. Inside of minus 200 for the 3 seed that they played a grand total of 21 games together. Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic. They're going to only get better. The ceiling for the next year and a half now for this Lakers team is just sky high when you add a player who changes everything like Luka. But there's two parts of this series as well, similar to like what we just had, that it could be X factors. The first one is we probably got to get Mike Conley off the floor. He's really difficult come playoff time. He didn't really have a great track record in the playoffs, either with Memphis or Utah. He's really somebody that gets picked on. And when you have the one specific guy you can get picked on, we saw last year, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was a huge part of it. And even that amazing regular season, not finale, but coming down the wire against Denver, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was knocking down shots. And if he can knock down shots and stay out on the floor, he is a big-bodied wing who we can utilize up against Luka. But Rudy Gobert, man, what do we do with Rudy in these spots? Because he got picked on with the Utah Jazz in isolation. It was Terrence Mann and Paul George with the Clippers once upon a time. Last year, it was them moving things around with a healthy Jamal Murray and finding ways to be effective there against him. Minnesota ends up losing out there, or winning out in that series, losing to Dallas. Couldn't necessarily play him instead of Naz Reid. Naz Reid just really showed out in that playoff series. I think Rudy Gobert is going to have a really tough time because I don't think Jackson Hayes is going to stay on the floor very often in these kind of spots. Jared Vanderbilt, back and healthy. I think he's somebody who could play mid-high 20s minutes going forward, which can be a huge deal for them because Dorian Finney-Smith has been seamless. He played a long time with Luka. The camaraderie's there. The 3-and-D wing that you're looking for to space the floor for the Lakers. If you get Luka and you get Rudy Gobert out on the perimeter, it's going to be a tough series for him. So as much as offensively, I want to look at Ant, who's going to get a lot of doubles thrown his way. I don't think we have enough shooting on the floor between Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley to really kind of carry the day against a Lakers squad that just has too many offensive weapons to handle.
Dustin, before I ask Eric, what's the pricing on the Nuggets clip series right now?
Yeah, we've got it minus 110 both ways.
Okay. So that one, so essentially vigorous both ways on that. So this one is one where we've had a lot of our smarter friends on saying that the Clippers should be a favorite here, a big time favorite. They've got them laying a couple of, game and a half. Are you of the same mind that the Clippers should beat the Nuggets in this series?
I think this is a very difficult series to handicap, if I'm being honest. And I see what the sharp people are looking at. I see why the money came in on the Clippers and why this number has come crashing. I think the first part is obviously the health of Jamal Murray. What are we getting? We don't know. We really don't know, because the last month and a half, I mean, while it's mattered big time to Western Conference teams, the Nuggets, they need a healthy Jamal Murray to make a run. So I think the way I look at this is the Nuggets have the higher ceiling. Like, they could be a team that could represent the West. I think in this one series, if you have Jamal Murray not right, the Clippers could really take advantage. So I think this price, it totally makes sense why it's come rocking this way. I still think Denver's the team that I would rather play if I'm looking at winning the West or potentially getting out of the West and winning an NBA title. Like, I got to think that Denver has the higher ceiling purely because of the existence of Jokic, Jalen Pickett. I mean, Russell Westbrook, you got to get rid of this player come playoff time. I mean, Russell Westbrook is just a problem, and we haven't really seen him on a meaningful playoff team in quite some time. And I love him as a player. He's all gas, no breaks. And whenever you get that, it's fun and entertaining to watch in a regular season format. But to win you a title, you got to play Jalen Pickett. You got to have a healthy Jamal Murray. And so Westbrook, he can be resigned to 14, 15 minutes a game and be just fine. But this Clippers team also has two pieces off the bench that I think are very big X factors. Bogdanovich, acquisition from Atlanta, has looked a lot better in the second half of the season with this Clippers team, where he doesn't have to be an offensive focal point next to a Trae Young off ball. And then the other guy, nobody wants to talk about Ben Simmons and the fact that you can utilize his 6'10", 6'11" frame in the half court, in the clutch, if you need defensive stops inside of 2 minutes. Think of how many timeouts and how slow the last 2 minutes of NBA games are. I can put Ben Simmons out there for spurts and only play him 15, 16 minutes a game. That is a huge guy to have in the pick and rolls. That is a huge guy to utilize on a Nikola Jokic as an extra body. And while Zubac has done really well with Jokic in the past, I think just having Ben Simmons as an insurance policy is very, very big for this series.
Eric, I'm curious, as someone who is so data driven and you have your models and you have your numbers, how difficult is it for you to kind of analyze a team like the Clippers, where there's so many things that don't show up, like Kawhi Leonard's knee and James Harden in big games? And I'm sure there's other instances in other matchups where the numbers may show something different than your eyes see. How difficult is that balancing act?
Yeah, without trying to sound smart, because I promise you I'm not trying to sound smart by saying this, but when you think of range of outcomes of a basketball game, like what we just had in the first half for Chicago, it's totally live for teams to just get waxed in a game and for everybody to over-exaggerate for the next spot. But the truth is always somewhere in the middle of the data range. And so you have three standard deviations, both sides of it. 99.7% of the data sits inside of that range. And when you look at Kawhi Leonard, he is a 99.8 percentile basketball player when healthy. You just know that if Kawhi Leonard can play 40, 42 minutes a game, whether it was in Toronto, whether it was with the Clippers leading into playoff series where he was then hurt, you know you have a live team to win a title with everything else around him. And you have better pieces around him than I would say the Toronto team had once upon a time. Marc Gasol out there on the perimeter doing whatever at the later stages of his career. I just look at this Clippers team with Zubac, who's really come on in the last 2 years post-Lakers tenure with these Clippers. You're looking at James Harden, who's really kind of been reinvigorated, getting out of all of the muck of playing with Kevin Durant and so on and so forth in Brooklyn. I really do think the Clippers have more around Kawhi, where he doesn't have to completely carry the team, but inside of 5 minutes, 6 minutes, you look at clutch possessions, you look at what the closing lineups are, and that's a big part of my handicapping coming into this, is trying to figure out what some of these closing lineups look like, who plays well and functions well together, and then what the adjustments are that you can make as a series goes on. I just think there's more chess pieces that are playoff winners on the Clippers side than what you're going to look at on the Denver side. Now, Denver gets out of this, and they get a healthier Jamal Murray, and they can utilize him in the pick and roll there with Jokic at the top of the key like we saw in that title team. Completely different team, but you run it right now. I didn't get in at the right price, and so I didn't end up firing this on the Clipper side, but completely makes sense to me why it's priced the way it is.
That's a great answer to that question. I enjoyed that. Before we say goodbye, Eric Lindquist, let's do one on the NFL draft, because you're bullish on Ashton Genty come draft time. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So I'm not just data driven. There's an art to some things that you look at, and you know, it really comes down to not what I think a team should do, because I do not think a running back should be drafted in the top 5, but let's look at a couple of the needs. And I think everybody's kind of in alignment. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter. I think it would be surprising to have them not be the first 2 off the board. If you want to put Abdul Carter in there at the 2 spot, the edge rusher from Penn State completely makes sense as well. But I think if you box in, some people just get so sold come NFL draft. You see it on Twitter all the time, on X. It comes down to like, oh, I'm going to pick this team to pick this draft position. No, I'd much rather just box this in like a roulette wheel playing the first 12. Like, I would much rather look at this and say, I think Ashton Genty could go to the Giants. I think Ashton Genty has a chance of the Patriots, or the Patriots allowing a team like the Chicago Bears to trade into this top 5. And so there's 3 numbers: Ashton Genty plus 4,000, pick number 3. Ashton Genty, pick number 4, plus 1,600. Ashton Genty, pick number 5, plus 700. He starts to get really short at 6 because the Vegas Raiders, they've kind of let it be known, hey, Pete Carroll at coach, we're going to absolutely hammer the rock. Ashton Genty makes the most sense there. But don't forget, teams can trade up. Teams can draft a guy for another team to trade for it. And I really think, even though you shouldn't do it, a team's going to fall for Ashton Genty here in this top 5. I think it's going to happen more than likely. So I'll play this kind of like my PGA cards, where I'm taking 3 guys, one at a shorter price there at pick 5, one in the mid-range there at pick 4, and pick number 3 at the long shot. I think it's the least likely, but hey, the Giants, if there's one team that might go out and reach for a running back coming off of last year, it's probably a fan base that still feels a little bit scorned about that whole Saquon Barkley thing.
No, and also let's also keep in mind the Raiders a year ago, they wanted Michael Penix Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They stood pat. They weren't able to get him because they weren't willing to trade up. And all the reports are, like you said, they want Ashton Genty. Why wouldn't someone else say, well, we're just going to take him earlier, or you come trade for this pick? There's a chance the Raiders have to trade up and get the guy that they want. I love this strategy, Eric.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most underrated part. Don't fall in love with just one position. If you have any kind of a feel whatsoever, and I think my feel is that Ashton Genty's kind of the commodity in that 3, 4, 5 range. I don't see a world where Tennessee doesn't take Cam Ward. I don't think anybody does. The odds kind of dictate that. Travis Hunter, same thing. Unless we just hear that Cleveland is distraught over the fact that he won't just play wide receiver or something of that nature, I would be very surprised for them not to take Hunter there. So now we have to kind of play this little mind chase game. And Ben Johnson, there's one guy that he's going to go reach for. I mean, whether it was Jahmyr Gibbs there with Detroit going out and acquiring a David Montgomery because he just wanted to have that 2-headed monster. Ashton Genty is both of those guys, if we're being honest. He had nobody there in Boise State. And while the bowl game might not have looked as good as you might have expected for somebody who's perceived as a top 10 pick for Ashton Genty, he is that guy. As long as ball security is not an issue for him, he's going to be your, running back du jour, not just from this draft, but could be a top 3, top 5 running back in fantasy for everybody out there with those implications. So for me, I think buying yourself into that 3 through 5 range with him makes a ton of sense on this draft.
We had a draft analyst on yesterday that was talking to front offices that said if Genty stays healthy, he could be a Hall of Famer.
He's insane.
Literally. Yeah.
He's insane.
And I think what you said, Eric, about the bowl game, a lot of people, that was the only game they saw of Genty all year. So they're like, what? But that's not the case.
Yeah, I married into an Oregon Duck family. Let me tell you, Ashton Genty, week 2, college football, jumped off the page, leaped off the page, was unbelievable, best player on the field, better than Dylan Gabriel, better than everybody else. You look at Ashton Genty, that is a football player. There's your art. I'll get away from the spreadsheet for that one.
That is a very sharp conversation. I enjoyed that. Eric Lindquist, odds shopper, betting analyst at Eric Lindquist on Twitter. We're going to do it again soon, Eric. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Good to see you.
Okay, you too. You know what, big guy? We got to see if we can do something regular, because he's not just shooting from the gut. And
No.
You asked a good question about when the data doesn't match the theoretical. and his answer was perfect. So I enjoyed that conversation.
There are very few people in this betting space where I just know when that guy places a bet, he has a million reasons. Like, remember in school, they'd be like, all right, write your thesis, and now have 3 supporting arguments for why that is true or false. Eric Lindquist is a dude who has like 20 reasons why he does anything when it comes to betting. I love talking with him.
Yeah, he's great. I enjoyed the conversation. It's a 13-point game. That guy was out of bounds. So the Bulls are going to have the ball just the start of the 4th, down 13. So maybe we can make it a game here. Maybe we can get a sweat. That's all we're looking for is a sweat after getting crushed for most of this game.
I hate to bring it up, but the Tyler Hero prop did cash already.
No, that's tremendous.
Hey,
don't hate to bring it up.
One thing I'll miss from this NBA season is betting on point guards going up against this Bulls defense. They cannot defend point guards all season long.
Oof. Miami just hit a big 3. Pushed it back up to 16. Not great. When we return, Shedeur is the conversation. Most likely the second quarterback going to be off the board. Let's talk about the history of those number 2 overalls as far as the quarterback. When we return to VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, April is NFL Draft Month on NBC Sports Radio, Sirius XM Channel 85 throughout the month. PFT Live, Chris Sims, Unbuttoned, and Fantasy Football Happy Hour bring you insider access, news, and analysis, player interviews, rankings, mock drafts, and more leading up to draft day, plus expert post-draft analysis and reaction. NFL Draft Month on NBC Sports Radio, Channel 85 in the car or on the SiriusXM app. Isaiah Ramirez. We got our buddy Ryan Smith. Of course, you can check out Ryan. He's in the chat over there on YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. The comment you made, which it cannot be repeated, before we came back from break, is exactly why I came up with the media roundup. Because that is the host, Dustin. He's taking shots, which you love to hear. So when I came up with media roundup, I thought you were going to crush people, and you were just like, "I love Cody. I love
No, I
love these people."
Well, they're coworkers too. This person's no longer a coworker who I was talking poorly of, and I made a noise that a person would make when they were filleting someone.
I thought Jacob was here.
And that's what this person does with their careers. They fillet one person, and look, they've done very well with it. It's fillet, not fillet, by the way. I'm not talking about a steak. Fillet.
It was an NS, not safe. FW. It was an NSFW situation from the big guy.
Yeah, no. Look, if we're being I'll have the therapy.
Oh,
I
no.
haven't had therapy in a couple weeks. If I could ever say the things that I say off the air that could potentially get me fired as well, if I would ever be willing to do that on the air, I may get fired, or I may actually make some real money at some point.
May I ask why you haven't had therapy in a couple of weeks?
Because I'm on the road, and it is illegal for us to do therapy virtually cross state lines.
It's illegal?
It is illegal. So I did it last 2 weeks ago.
How is it illegal when first off, that was a tremendous excuse. Secondly, how is it illegal? Because I've been there. You have to
I tried.
No. I literally drove to Vegas on doing a therapy session in the state of who is going to come and arrest either of you?
But your therapist is licensed in California. Mine is licensed in Nevada. Do you think the Nevada license is as good as the California license?
No, but I mean, if you did sneak in a Skype session, who's going to be like, knock, knock, knock? I've been hearing you've been trying to get better.
I could have not said anything. You're right. I could have not said anything.
Dumbest thing I ever heard. It's all good. Big guy, let's do this. So you and I were talking earlier about this. Was it Diana Rossini who had it?
Tyler Shuck, yeah.
Okay. So Diana Rossini, who gets the skinny, she was talking to an anonymous NFL head coach, I believe she said, and he said, I would take Tyler Shuck over Cam Ward. Now, even as not a huge Cam Ward supporter, Shuck last year, I believe, played at Louisville because he's played at every college outside of Louisville as well. But he finished his career at Louisville, and he finished his college career as a 26-year-old. So, as you pointed out earlier, when he was coming into college, the big names above him, recruiting-wise, were Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, who have been in the league for like ever. Right?
Can I add a few more?
Sure.
Jamar Chase, Micah Parsons, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pat Surtain, Penei Sewell, all in the same high school recruiting class as 26-year-old Tyler Shuck.
It's this comment from this NFL head coach. Now, I don't know. Maybe he was doing shtick. Maybe he was trolling Diana Rossini. I have no clue. But if we're to take it as he was being serious, is why I tell you, first off, 9 out of 10 of you, and no offense, like it's fine. I haven't heard of Tyler Shuck. Why would you? He's 26 years old. So this is why I always tell you, if you think, oh, this guy works in the NFL, he must be a genius. No, you're just as good. You focus so hard on your fantasy football team. Trust me. And I'll give you another example. The Cleveland Browns, and I don't know who was running the franchise at the time, back in 2012, they used a first-round selection. First rounder on Brandon Whedon. Why is that notable? Brandon Whedon was 28 years old in 195 days. So he was closer to 29. Now, you might say, Whedon had a nice college. First off, there was nothing special about Brandon Whedon anyway, but they used a first rounder. You might say, oh, well, it's worth a flyer. Yeah, a flyer would be a 5th rounder, a 6th rounder. The most valuable thing in sports, literally, and second rounders matter a hell of a lot too, but the value of a first round draft pick can legitimately change the fortunes of your franchise. And somebody in the Cleveland front office, they all agreed to drafting Brandon Whedon at almost 29 years old in the first round. These people aren't that smart, is what I'm trying to tell you.
No. And for Tyler Shuck specifically, they're getting caught up in the fact that he had a really good RAS score, which is what they test at the combine, that he's super athletic for a 6'5" white guy who throws the football. But think about the context of an NFL contract. If he's good, if you hit on Tyler Shuck at quarterback and he ends up being as good as this coach who's definitely going to get fired for thinking that is eventually going to get done, if he's good, you're paying him his next contract at 31 years old. You're going to get 2 contracts out of the guy. You're going to pay him at 31 years old, maybe get another, 5-6 years out of him. There is no sense in wasting an investment in a guy who, oh, by the way, we didn't even get to this part yet. Is he actually good at football? Because I watched him blow a bet for me against Oregon with Texas Tech 2 years ago, where I was pretty convinced that guy's college career was going to end there, yet somehow he played like 2 more seasons. This guy is not good at football, and I think it's ironic that the same people who would tell you Tyler Shuck is a first-round quarterback based on the athletic testing they're seeing are probably the same front office and head coaching people who would also say Lamar Jackson and Jalen Milroe should play wide receiver or defensive back. I think there's a bit of irony there.
I think you're right. I think it's just like if as just a regular fan, something that a franchise does or says amidst just laughter.
Yeah.
How is it possible it got past the phase of let's actually do this, like Brandon Whedon as a first rounder or Tyler Shuck being better than Cam Ward?
No. Here, it always comes back to this. He played on 3 different teams. He had 3 different opportunities, Tyler Shuck.
So did Cam.
He was good at football. No, but Cam Ward proved he was good at football. Tyler Shuck never once proved he was good at football. The only thing he proved, he's really good at getting injured. He gets injured a lot. That's why at 26, he's still in college. He is not a good quarterback. In fact, I think I would take 4, maybe 5 quarterbacks over him in this draft.
So at this point, what's the number? What's the market saying as far as, is it 2.5? It's got to be 2.5.
Quarterbacks in the first round?
Yeah, it's got to be 2.5, juiced heavily to the over.
I have to find what section that's in. Position totals. Quarterbacks are 2.5 minus 475.
Yeah. So that was my assumption. I mean, so we know the 2.
Yep.
We're positive Dart's going in the first round? I'm positive. Like, are we positive?
I think Pittsburgh is a potential destination. The rumors are the Rams want to take a quarterback to bridge to Stafford so that they're not having to do that down the road, get someone in there to learn the system, although McVay's system, apparently Baker Mayfield could learn it on a flight. But I do think Dart's going to go in the first. I know you think I'm crazy, but I think Milroe might go at the end.
No, I mean, we've had a bunch of people on saying that he looks like he could be creeping up to the first. I'm going to tell you right now, you and I can make a little bet if you want. I think there's a 0% chance Jalen Milroe is a first-round draft choice. 0%.
I think I think he's likely a second rounder, but he's also a guy I want. I want to develop Jalen Milroe. That's what I would do if I was.
He might be a second rounder. He's not going to be a first-round draft.
He might. Someone might get itchy.
I'm telling you, my gut has never felt so strongly about anything, and because you know why? Because teams are going to think they can get him in the second round.
Yes, but there was a point with Lamar where everyone thought he was going to fall to the second, and the Ravens picked up the phone, traded for the final pick of the first round, and made sure they got their guy. Now, Lamar's a little different. He had won the Heisman Trophy, and Jalen Milroe actually got worse his last year at Alabama, so it's a bit different. Right now, the market, by the way, is Cam Ward is minus 20,000 to be the first quarterback selected. Shedeur Sanders is minus 250 to be the second quarterback selected. And then it's Jackson Dart 2-1 to be the second quarterback selected. I'm wondering if it's possible Jackson Dart goes ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
There is so much smoke around the Sanders conversation. Nothing would surprise me at this point. Literally.
If he goes number 3 overall to the Giants or he goes in the 3rd round, wouldn't be surprised anywhere in between.
No, I'm serious. Like, if he goes 3 overall, that wouldn't surprise me. If he's a 2nd-round draft pick, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, and by the way, if he stinks in the NFL, wouldn't be surprised. If he's very good in the NFL, wouldn't be surprised either. There are
but we would be
obviously.
surprised if he's great.
I would be blown away if he was great. And I think that's the question you have to ask with all these quarterbacks. Who will be great? Because I know everyone's hyping Cam Ward up. I don't think Cam Ward is going to be great. However, what I will say, the gap between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders is massive.
And obviously tilting towards Cam.
Yeah, Cam, absolutely. Yeah. Cam,
and you hate Cam, and you loathe Cam Ward.
I just don't think he's special. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine quarterback, but
if you think Cam Ward is fine, you just said the gap's huge, so you think Shedeur is really bad.
Yeah, I think the floor is high that Shedeur can be an okay starter in the league. I do not think he's a quarterback that wins you ball games by making big time throws. He is a quarterback that plays within a system and does not lose your games. He is, this is the name that just popped in my head, and it feels disrespectful, but it's actually a compliment. He's a better Aiden O'Connell.
Oh, gosh.
Like, he's an NFL quarterback.
He definitely played in the system at Colorado. He played in that system to a 13-12 record.
Yeah, okay, but he was throwing the ball to Travis Hunter, and they were throwing the ball 50 times a game against bad Big 12 defenses and bad Pac-12 defenses.
I'm saying I agree with you. Like, he played in a system. He didn't play in the system all that well. You could blame his teammates. He was 13-12. He just had his number retired.
Yeah, I just saw this stat. I'm going to give credit. Dan Schneider, who covers the Giants, the NFL draft, that Shedeur Sanders completions, 28.3 of them were screens. 52.6% of his passing yards came after the catch. That doesn't work in the NFL. This isn't the air raid with Hal Mummy and Mike Leach, where you throw it 5-10 yards with Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree picks up 25-30 yards after the catch. It's not going to exist at the next level. That's the concern with Shedeur Sanders.
I'm not as down. I like Cam Ward. I'm not down on him like you are, but you could be proven to be right. Outside of that, I want nothing to do with Jackson Dart. Nothing.
No.
Literally zero.
No.
I wouldn't draft Shedeur. I would take it if I'm sitting in the 3rd round and Milroe is there. Absolutely, I'd take his flyer.
I'll tell you the other one I've let people convince me of that I thought no way, and then the more you think about playing quarterback, and again, I don't think he's a starter. I think he's a guy who's
Ohio
like
State
in
kid.
betweener. Yeah, Will Howard. There's athleticism there. There's good decision making.
I agree.
And he protects the football. Is he gonna win you a playoff game? No, but is he?
He's a big boy.
He's an NFL starter if you're a team in a bind. I can tell you that. If he was in with a legit offensive mastermind who was coaching him up, he could do something.
He's a prototypical size with athleticism.
Yes.
And
he's experienced. Played a lot of football at Kansas State and then 1 year at Ohio State.
We're going to come back and close some tabs. Yeah, it'll be the Shedeur. What is the Shedeur? You can answer this coming back. Where do they have him as far as the positioning drafted in the 1st round? We'll come back and have that answer for you. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. wrap up today's show. You see what I did there? Yeah. By finishing all of the conversations we touched on today. This is Closing Tabs.
Okay, we teased with Shedeur Sanders' draft position. So again, this is what the market believes. They'll set a number as far as draft number, and you can bet over or under that number. So it kind of gives you an idea of what the market thinks. What do we got there?
Well, I got a couple things for you. One, it's over under 8.5, and the over's juiced at -310. Under is +220 because the expectation is he will go number 9 to the Saints, where New Orleans is the favorite in the betting market to land Shedeur Sanders at even money right now. Number 2 is the Giants at +250, the Steelers +370, followed by the Browns at +650. The Raiders are intriguing at 16-1, though. I would say that.
So you said 8.5?
8.5 at -340 to the over, or -310 to the over. That's kind of crazy.
Hey, by the way, you might want to clear this at home before you agree to it, but I enjoyed that the pots and pans, how you didn't clean them. So I was just thinking during the break, we might be able to do a daily WDD. What did Dustin do?
Well, I can tell you an update from my girlfriend who didn't even know we were talking. Like, I said, "Are you listening right now?" She's like, "No, why?" I was like, "Because we're talking about how I screwed up the dishes." I have been banned from using the good pans at her house. I am no longer allowed to cook on the good white pans that she has because I do not clean them properly. I have to use the hood rat old pans that are falling apart. That is the update of the day.
I think, listen, you might want to think about it, but
Okay,
I think a WDD might be it might be hilarious.
See, I think these things are so basic and nonsensical, but maybe they jump out to you. The other day I was informed that the shower curtain should be pulled all the way to the end because I was getting water all over a corner of the bathroom in a very small area because I did not pull the shower curtain all the way through.
I mean, I'm anal about it too, so I kind of, like, because then it drips down and then
Yeah, my
get a
thought
pool.
is, you know what I think? Water dries, so we're good. Like,
But water also causes mold.
It's fair. That's fair. Or I wipe it up. I could wipe it up. I just don't pay attention to details. Like, people go to job interviews and they're like, "Hey, what do you do best?" I pay attention to. I don't pay attention to details. I'm sorry. I'm a big picture guy.
I just think that there's something there with WDD because I think it could be daily. I think you botched it. I think it could be daily. I think it could be daily content.
Yeah, look, I would say my girlfriend's a very patient person, and I know that she is the more of the adult, despite me being 6 years older than her. So, I know that.
See, this is why you know it's love. You're getting crushed, and you say, "I know she's patient." That is a beautiful. That is well done.
Oh, I will. I've made her bed more than I've made my bed, yet I've never once made her bed correctly. It's a fact. It's not shit.
See, there's something there. See you tomorrow. Peace and life, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
With Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.